Hey, welcome. Bill Michaels Show on the air on a Wednesday. Snowy, cold, flurries more so than anything, but we're warm inside. Aaron Rodgers looking to own you. Chicago once again. Chicago not sure if they're even going to have their starting quarterback. And I was listening to a Chicago station earlier today, and they were talking about the game this weekend and who you would bet on because the Packers are having such a craptastic season. And everybody in agreement in the studio, including their guests, said, no, I'm still betting on the Packers. just because. So anyway, that being said, welcome to a Wednesday edition of the Bill Michaels Show. Good to have you on board. Ben Kenny producing the program. How you doing today, Ben?
I'm good. I feel much better than yesterday.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how you were feeling.
A lot of Advil, a lot of sleep, a lot of Gatorade. I feel great.
Well, good. So it's going to be an energized show today, I guess. Good stuff. We got Mark Schofield, SB Nation, coming up here in about an hour, about 2 hours from now. Tom Oates of the Wisconsin State Journal is going to be here. Oates, he's going to give us a little more Packer chat, or a little more Badger chatter. A little Packer chatter, too, but a little more Badger chatter. So we'll talk with him about his thoughts on all of this. And
we were having a discussion on Twitter today, Bill.
Were
Tom
you
Oates
really?
and myself.
Okay.
Yeah, about realistic expectations for the Luke Fickell era at Wisconsin.
What are the realistic expectations for the Luke Fickell era?
I think it boils down to more than what was said at the podium, but Chris McIntosh and Luke Fickell both said championships.
Right.
And I kind of disagree, but many are going to hold them to their word of championships.
Yeah, I don't know what to necessarily make of the discussion when it comes to championships, other than he said it is a open-ended statement. And I agree with that. It is an open-ended statement. Are you talking Big Ten championships? Are you talking just national titles? Both consistently. Just winning the West, although the West is going to go away eventually. So, I get it. You want to strive to be the best. You're not coming in and go, you know what? Boy, if we can just get behind Nebraska and Iowa, we're going to bowl games. No. Been there, done that for way too many years. So, I think, and again, it's somewhat died down, the Luke Fickell chatter. I will say that. As far as like friends from Cincinnati, getting a hold of me and saying, "Hey, guess what?" But there's still there's a little bit of bitterness because he talked about when he signed the contract extension there about how his kids were enrolled and they're a part of that community and how he was going to stay and this is a destination job. And then obviously, he ends up leaving only about 6 to 8 months later. And now he's off to Wisconsin, where a lot of the same things were said. So some people are, saying, hypocrite. But then, what are you supposed to say? You get introduced to a fan base. You want to win them over. You can't say the same thing. I mean, at least he's not Brian Kelly. At least he didn't come in and all of a sudden start going, hey there. I'm glad to be a part of Wisconsin. I had some courage on the way in, like Brian Kelly. All of a sudden, he's got a Southern draw and he's wrestling gators, So... Luke Fickell, I hope the best. I'm optimistic. I'm probably going to be optimistic this upcoming season just because, but more so for 2 years from now. Once he's established, they've grown that, they obviously have, kind of done what they needed to do and grow that transfer portal, but also they have begun to grow recruiting. And I'll be excited to see how things begin to kind of grow with Wisconsin. I'm excited. Now, Ben, do you look at Wisconsin, the changing of the guard, and do you automatically say next year they are expected to win the West?
Would you like me to anger many of your listeners?
Sure, go ahead.
I can't say they are expected to win the West until I see the roster.
Okay.
Because they're going to lose a lot of guys. I don't know who's coming in. The West will still stink. But until I see who's actually on the team, I'm not going to go that far.
Okay.
I hope they do. It'll be a lot of fun. The problem is then 2024 comes around. No more divisions, likely. USC and UCLA join, it's going to be a lot harder to go up and win a Big Ten than it's been.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. But I'm excited for next season. Already looking forward to it. In the meantime, you got the Green Bay Packers back in the practice field today. Aaron Rodgers getting the positives when it comes to the scans, and not in the sense of they were positive that he broke something. It's more so the positive side of, I'm good to go. So he is going to be playing this weekend. By the way, in case you did not know, two things. One, coming up tonight, we're going to be live Kelly's Bleachers on Blue Mountain Road. It's Bill Michaels Settle tonight, brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. Also brought to you by Bud Light, we are going to be live in Chicago at the Shy Bar inside the Sheraton Hotel. And if you're a Packers fan and you're looking for a place to stay, join us, won't you? Join us. Heading down on Saturday, going to walk through the Christmas Kringle shops down there and hang out, grab a little dinner. Myself, Mike Clemens, kind of putting the band back together. Erica is our floor producer from Super Bowl. We're all going to be kind of hanging out on Saturday night prior to the game. And then we have the post-game show coming up on Sunday, live from the Shy Bar inside the Sheraton Hotel, downtown Chicago, right there on the Riverwalk. So come on by and say hi. The Sheraton Grand. Looking forward to that, too. Good weekend in Chicago. I'm not a big fan of Chicago when it comes to if I had to live in the city. I don't mind going for a day or two. I've said that before, but I've always said if you're going to start some kind of mass bombing and testing of mass weaponry, that might be the place to start. Just get rid of that infrastructure and start over. It's just such a pain in the ass. 877-867-1670. Judy says, hey, Bill, if Aaron Rodgers plays and gets nicked up at all, would you pull him out of this game? You know what? It was an interesting discussion this morning. I had to go pick my car up. My car was ready, so I drove out to Johnson Creek and back, and I was listening on ESPN and NFL and Barstool Sports and all that kind of stuff. And I think it was Barstool Sports. And there was an interesting discussion about why Aaron Rodgers will play the remainder of the season. Now, Aaron said, he kind of set it up and said, as long as we're mathematically alive, I want to play. I want to be out there, He understands that the team needs to figure out, if they haven't already, exactly what Jordan Love brings to the table. He knows that. But like most competitors, he has this drive in him that he knows that in that Dallas game when Brett Favre went down and he came in and that game was pretty much a blowout while Favre was in there. And when he came in, had they had another 7 to 10 minutes, most likely the Packers win that game. Rodgers brought them back. And suddenly all the eyes opened and everybody went, yeah, that guy's the real deal. We don't need the old dude anymore. And suddenly Favre was doing the golly gee, oh shucks, I don't know if I should or shouldn't come back. And they said, we'll make the decision for you. Talk to you later. Here's your locker. He doesn't want that. So like most competitors and guys that believe they are the best of the best, they want to wear a gold jacket, they want multiple championships, he probably will hang on like grim death for many different reasons to that starting role. Will he be adverse to not starting? I don't think he's not going to start a game. But I think there's going to be we're probably going to play Jordan in the second half. Something like that. But I can't foresee him saying, you know what? Nah, I'm done. Nah, I'm going to go sit down. I mean, it's a bad look if he says, yeah, go ahead and play Jordan. I'm good, but, go ahead and play Jordan. Because they're, like we talked about yesterday, there's going to be a third of the people that are going to say, you're getting paid a lot of money. And now you're choosing to sit. While there's another third saying, we need to see what we've got in Jordan Love. And then there's another third that are of the mindset of blow it up, rebuild it, but you got to hang on to Rodgers. But what are we going to do about next season? We're not really sure what we're going to do. Oh, my goodness, what if Jordan Love is good? What if he goes somewhere else and he plays really well, and then we lose him and Rodgers stays, and Rodgers doesn't get us a championship, or he does get it? There's a lot of people that are like a squirrel in the middle of the road, not sure as to which way to go. So that's the other third. So I have this feeling that he's going to hang on for a while. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. You want to hit us up? Feel free to go ahead and do so. This one's from Mark. Mark says, hey, Unit, I think Rodgers needs to play in this game just to prove to the Chicago fans that he's not using the injury as an excuse to walk away so he doesn't own them anymore. If he goes out, plays well, I think they win the game. We found a real wide receiver in Christian Watson. I'm excited. Romeo Doubs comes back after the high ankle sprain, and he looks really good. Suddenly, we've got 2 wideouts. We only pick up a veteran next year, and I think we're right back at it. Appreciate the email. There's some optimism. There's some optimism for you. Liking it. Emily says, I think Aaron Rodgers with the bad thumb should probably take a little time off. If it gets hit again and suddenly he can't play football anymore, then we're on the hook for all that money. I don't think even if he breaks the thumb, even if somebody hits him and they crush the thumb, I think, he's got plenty of time surgery wise if he absolutely positively needs it to go ahead, have it fixed and come back and be ready to go next year. Just my sense. That's the reason it's like, unless there's going to be ligament damage that's going to be permanent and he no longer has feeling in the thumb, then I would say, sit him down. But beyond that, I'm not too worried about it. Not too worried about it. Give us a shout. I got the Bud Light live stream up and running as well. Tom says Packers screwed themselves with the Rodgers contract. Tom, though, here's the question. Did anybody, I said at the time, I thought the contract, 3 years, $150 million. I thought it was crazy. Okay. I will say that. But anybody at the time think in your right mind, other than the loss of Devontae Adams, that this team would be this bad and Rodgers would fall off the cliff like this? I think it's just been an accumulation of just bad stuff this year. The mismatching and such of the offensive line, the play calling being somewhat poor, the defense having the absolute positive inability to tackle. They just have forgotten the fundamentals of football. The injuries that have now taken place on the defensive side of the football with Rashawn Gary, Devondre Campbell, Stokes, you go through that whole list. Obviously, I think it has just been a conglomeration of crap. I don't think anybody predicted this. I don't think anybody predicted this. And if you would have seen Rodgers falling off the cliff like this, I would have loved somebody to come to me and go, no. Now, the money, the total money, I think the total money's too high. But this guy's coming off of back-to-back MVP seasons. The only concern you should have had, and I had, was why in the hell has the offense been so inept in the last 2 postseason games? The last 2 postseason games we've seen this team play, why in the hell has it been so inept? Why does this team, when it gets punched right in the beans, fold like a cheap tent with a bad suit in it? No fight, no spirit, no guts, no nothing, no tenacity. It just goes away. Why? That's the only thing I can question. Because we saw Aaron Jones go down with an injury and cough up the football. The offense, nothing after that. Next year, you see Mercedes Lewis. They're driving not once but twice. Mercedes Lewis down the field, boom, coughs up the football. San Francisco takes it down and score. Nothing after that. Why is it when this team gets punched in the mouth, they have this dazed and glazed look in their eye? That, to me, comes from their head coach. That's coaching. That's coaching and leadership. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Don't forget, coming up tonight, we are brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. Going to be live. Kelly's Bleachers right there near the ballpark. We're going to be right up the top of the street on Blue Mountain Road. Come on by. If you're heading past American Family Field and you go north, you can find Kelly's. That's where we're going to be tonight, right there next to the bar. Come on in, say hello. Some Bud Light specials going on tonight, some giveaway, getting people registered for the big screen TV. We're giving away at the end of the season so you can watch the big game on the big TV. Hell yeah. Come on by and say hello. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. Good to have you. The Bill Michaels Show on the air. Heading downtown. Little holiday feasting, the Italian style. Maybe head over to San Giorgio. Good old authentic, right out of Napolia, right there in Italy. The authentic Napolitana Pizzeria, downtown Milwaukee, or right next door at Calderon Club. Great, best Italian food you're going to stick in your grill. I mean, just fantastic. Stop in either place. Say hi to Gino, Robin, everybody that works there. They're good people. This time of year, oh yeah, you just take a load off, you relax a little bit, sit in the decorated atmosphere. Maybe before or after a Bucks game last night, it's packed. Marquette was playing downtown last night. Saw that. So good stuff. Stop into San Giorgio or stop into to Calderon Club. Either way, and they pair up some of the specials that have my name on them. Pair them up with Cider Boys. Good stuff. Good stuff. Point Brewing, right here in our own backyard. Check out Calderon Club and San Giorgio. Either place, fantastic. Old World 3rd Street, downtown Milwaukee, right across the street from the Hyatt. 877-867-1670. Want to hit us up? Do it. Let's go back to the calls. Let's talk to Scott. Scott, welcome to the program, man. How you doing today? What's going on?
Good, Bill. Thanks for taking my call. Hey, I wanted to talk about the Aaron Rodgers. I've called in before, and I'm kind of an advocate of let's see what Jordan Love's got. I still stand true to that. Think about Aaron Rodgers. I find it incredibly selfish of him. If he knew his thumb was broken and he's still playing on it, and he's been playing as kind of poorly as he has, I think that's just his ego coming out and putting himself before the team for whatever reason, his Hall of Fame status, his stat padding, whatever he's thinking. But at this point, again, I just want to see Jordan Love, because you got to make a decision where you're going to extend him at the end of this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So I've got to see what you've got. I got to see what he's worth, because I'm not going to bring him back or extend him for another year if he's trash. And the rest of this season is a good, healthy sample size. Because let's face it, there's some good teams on that schedule. I want to see what he can do against the Vikings, who are going to be coming for blood. I want to see what he can do against the Chicago Bears. I want to see what he's got, while still teams that we're playing have something to play for. It's one thing to go out there and beat up on a team that, like, who has really nothing to play for, but probably like the Packers do. But I want to see what he can do against a playoff caliber team with the talent that we've got right now on offense, with a buddy Christian Watson, maybe Romeo Dobbs is back. With both those guys in the backfield, Aaron and Quadzilla back there. I got to see what he's got with the number one guys against a scrub preseason team like they've been rolling him out here over the course of the last 2 years. So I don't like that Aaron Rodgers is still playing with a broken thumb. I think it's selfish. It doesn't put the team first. But at this point, if he's something that play, great. But we have nothing left but pride. Let's see what Jordan's got. Aaron Rodgers, you're going to get paid regardless if you're starting or not. Don't be so butthurt about it. You know what the organization's got to do moving forward. He should understand that as a professional and just let us do this for the rest of the season. What do you think?
I appreciate the phone call. Let me kind of expound upon that. Let's think about this for a minute here. So remember the guy that preceded Aaron Rodgers? Remember that guy? What was his name? That's right. Favre. Bart Favre. So Favre was the Iron Man. And when Rodgers took over, remember the game against the New England Patriots? It was at Lambeau Field. Favre goes down with an injury. Second play of the second half. Snap. Rodgers goes to step back. His own guy steps on his foot, right? Breaks it. Now, Rodgers, he's in pain. But come on, man. You can't get your first opportunity and then go down with a broken foot behind a guy that never misses a start, right? You can't do that, right? That's kind of where he's at. He never forgot about the guy that he replaced. Never forgot about that. So he's got that guy in the back of his mind. He's obviously got his job in the back of his mind. He's got the goodwill of I'm playing for a lot of money in the back of his mind. But if he sits and says, you know what, I'm a little banged up, I'm going to go ahead and sit down. Do you know how many people are going to call this program and go, well, Favre never would have done that? Because there's the people out there that still believe Favre could come back and play. Now, he's not flying from Mississippi to Green Bay in the private jet anymore. Not since there's a threat of prison. But they believe Favre can come back and play. So can he? I don't know. But there's those people out there that just believe Favre walked on water. And Rodgers was never going to live up. Now, if he takes time out and decides to sit, but I'll say this. For two reasons. One, Aaron Rodgers coming back because of all the money. There's no doubt about that. He's coming back, got a lot of money coming his direction next year. So he's going to come back and play. The second reason is he is not going to retire the same year, the same offseason as Tom Brady. And then in 5 years, sit second fiddle, a distant second fiddle to the rings a jingling in the pockets of one Tom Brady. It's not going to happen. He's going to be on the standalone. So he's going to be back next year. You got to figure out what you have in Jordan Love. You're going to figure out if you're going to pay the man, and then you can figure it out. But I don't think he's going to say just voluntarily, yeah, go ahead and sit me. Because there's just going to be so many people that are going to point the finger and go, he's getting paid a ton of money. Favre never sat. Favre would never do this. He was more competitive. Rodgers doesn't care. Rodgers is off in la-la land, and he's aloof, and they're going to, all the things, all the reasons people use to kind of hate on Rodgers, they'll use to say, aha, I told you so. 877-867-1670. Let's go to Mike listening to us in Fond du Lac. Mike, welcome to the program, man. What's going on?
Hey, thanks a lot for taking my call. First-time caller, actually.
Good to have you.
I agree with the last caller. No, you got to play Love. I know they keep saying mathematically we have a chance to play us. So those people still drumming that up tell me this. That means 4 teams we have to – 3 teams go on the road in NFC, but it'd be the Super Bowl, it'd be the 4th road game, Who are we going to beat? Maybe one team we can beat out of there? What, maybe go to Minnesota win? Think we're going to go to Dallas and win? I mean, We can't beat San Fran. You're right. We get punched in the mouth and we just fold over and cry like a little schoolgirl, basically, you know. And I mean, I understand Rodgers doesn't want to, you know, sit down and say, well, you know, Favre never did that. And you're right about that. But why don't the Green Bay Packers brass sit down in a meeting with them and say, look, just like pro wrestling, let's be buddy back here in front of the cameras. We'll say for the best interest of him, we're going to sit him down because it's not just this year. We have to play him next year.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to sit him down and we're going to see what Love has. And Eric can say, I really want to play, but I understand. So that way he can still save face. Because bottom line, it's not the Green Bay Rodgers. It's the Green Bay Packers. And it's a machine we have to keep going. I'm kind of excited. I mean, not excited that we're losing. Hey, Packer faithful here. But isn't it kind of nice to pick in the top 10 finally again? All these teams like Minnesota, yeah, they're good. But how many times have they picked in the 10 and top 15 in the last 10, 15 years?
Mm-hmm.
We've been in the playoffs like, 26 out of the last 30 years with Favre and Rodgers? I love that. But you know what? It's not fun always going to the big dance, the playoffs, and not getting on the floor and dancing. How many times have we hit, you know, good team, but you never get to that final stage and you're like, God, you know, now what do we do?
Right.
Well, we're going to be picking like, you know, 28th, 29th. Well, who are you going to get? That's like going to a buffet. If you're the first 10 people in that door, you're going to get grade A food. You know, you're going to get their first heaping of everything. You come in there like 28, 29, you're like, well, I think that's a chicken breast. Does that look like salad to you? Yeah, you might find something good once in a while, but you know what? Most of the times you're like, yeah, we should have came earlier. Same thing with the draft. I'm excited. Hey, I just heard that I'm a fan of top 8, right? Or 8th pick.
Yeah.
That's exciting to me. You know, let's add some talents here and stuff and see what we have. We've been hit by injuries and stuff, but I said last year we should have traded Rodgers when he was at his peak, you know, 2 MVPs to Denver and say, it's a machine. I love the Packers. I want to win, but we got to see what we have with Love. And got to face it, you have to move on eventually. You always got to be one step ahead because now we didn't trade them. And now, look, I'm not saying we would have the 4th overall pick like Seattle's going to get because with Aaron and Hackett, you know, it could have been a good thing out there. Maybe, you know, they're in the playoffs, but still we're getting an extra first-round pick. But here's the thing, Packer Nation. Would you be upset right now if Love was playing this year and Rodgers was traded in the offseason and the Packers were 4-8? I'd be ecstatic. I said, hey, there's improvement here. We're doing good. A couple close games and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But with Rodgers at 4-8, we hate it.
Yeah.
Think about that, Packer Nation. Have a good one, man.
Appreciate it. The last time the Packers were drafting in the top 10, I believe B.J. Raji was the 9th overall pick. The 9th overall pick, I believe. Last time before that, I think, was A.J. Hawk. So the last 2 times they picked in the top 10, they went defensive people. Both times. Raji played really well and then called it a career early. And then A.J. Hawk never lived up to the number 5 overall billing. As a matter of fact, he's probably more famous now because he's on the Pat McAfee show every day than he was as a player. But A.J. was an incredibly solid player for the Packers for a long period of time. Here's the thing, and think about this. There's one question. And we talk about it almost every day. There's one thing that had it not happened, the whole dynamic changes for this team. Do you know what that question is, Ben? Do you know what that action was? Let's put it that
way. Drafting Jordan Love.
Absolutely. How effed up has it been since the drafting of Jordan Love? I mean, because we're sitting here right now on the precipice of you got to find out what you're going to do. Are you at the end of the career or are you not at the end of the career? You pissed off Rodgers. Rodgers went on the rant. He was going to hold out. Jordan Love was going to be the guy. You wasted the pick that could have ended up helping the team at some point in time. They had different guys that were there that were available, weapons to be able to, for Rodgers to be able to throw to that would have already been groomed, that would have been, you know, just how effed up was it that now Jordan Love may very well turn out to be some kind of creation. Who knows? I mean, you know, whatever this offseason holds, and then he ends up becoming some kind of great quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. I don't know. I don't think so, but I don't know. But there is so much anxiety, animosity, consternation just because of that pick. There's regret, there's anger, there's just, you can go through the whole list of adjectives all because of that pick. And the timing of it and everything that's gone on. It's phenomenal how much chaos that pick has thrown into the Packers franchise. Just wow. Let's do this. We're going to step away. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin tell you, no, that's not motorboating right now. It's cold. And maybe you're doing a little shivering and shaking. And if it's in your home and it's coming through the windows and the wind, God knows the wind is blowing outside. In my house, it's nice. It's warm. It's comfy. It's cozy. It's sitting right at 70 degrees. It doesn't budge. Doesn't move. Why? Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. It used to up until about 3 months ago. It used to fluctuated all the time. Not anymore. Love the new patio door. Love the windows. Love the patio doors. Everything that Pella has to offer has come to fruition. I can now sit here with confidence and go, I told you, this is fantastic. That's our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. And right now, you got another day or two. 2 years, no interest, no payments, no money down. How about that? Right now, you got to call them. Got to get on the books. Go to PellaWI.com. That is PellaWI.com, or call them 855-PELLA-WI. 855-PELLA, 855-PELLA-WI, and tell them I sent you. Say, I want the same windows, patio doors, entryways, same stuff that Bill Michaels has, because his house is more economical. His house is cozy. There's no drafts. There's no breeze. There's nothing coming through. And it's just the opposite in the winter or in the summertime when it's keeping the heat out and the cool in. Oh, it's so nice. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Wisconsin isn't snobby, snooty, or pretentious. It's Midwestern charm at its finest. And that's exactly what Forgotten Fire Winery in Peshtigo is all about. Fun in a bottle without the attitude. You can find their full wine and cider lineup in their tasting room or in liquor and grocery stores throughout the state. The winery is a great place to get away for wine and cider tastings, great live music, and private events all year long. Remember, any time is a great time for Forgotten Fire wines and ciders. Wisconsin wine made from Wisconsin people.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Dwayne's covered all. I know you probably don't have your boat still out, but if you're thinking about getting it scheduled to get come spring to get the cover redone, the travel cover, whatever it happens to be, maybe you've got an office that you're thinking, you know what, rather than buying all new furniture going into next year, I'm just going to have it all reupholstered. This is the guy to call. Say, Dwayne, can I ship it all to you? Bring it on. Bring it on. Get a hold of Dwayne. Dwayne's covered all. Wisconsin's best canvas upholstery boat cover provider. Follow him on Facebook. Go to Dwayne's, D-U-A-N-E-S, Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. That is Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. Or call 715-870-2119. 715-870-2119. And to get a hold of Dwayne, does really remarkable work. Really, really good stuff. 877-867-1670. You want to find us, hit us up. Let's go to our buddy Gerard listening to us in Delaware. Gerard, how you doing, man?
Hey, Bill. You know, you talk about Rogers. I personally have nothing against Rogers. He's a good guy. It's just that he's like Maynard G. Krebs. He's a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's about it. But, you know, you talk about the ego position that he wants to start. Bart Starr took a terrible, terrible beating, no matter what people think. And Zeke Bratkowski would have started for 3/4 of the team, yet Starr kept coming back. Lynn Dickey missed 2 years with serious injury. He came back. Favre's backups were Brunell and Hasselbeck at different times. And he always came back. And those guys were, one of them was an All-Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up being an All-Pro. So it is a big ego. The quarterback position is the biggest ego in sports now, being that there's no heavyweight champs anymore. You don't even know what boxing is.
Right.
So my point is this, and you made you make many great points, but I mean, yesterday you were talking about that they have to wait till after June 1st if they're going to trade them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that would mean that they would have to make that trade during the draft, which is a month earlier than that, and have an agreement in place with the team that they're going to trade with, that these are the picks you're going to make for us. That's what they would have to do.
Right.
Now, there's teams, like I said, the Jets would be foaming at the mouth for this guy, and so would Carolina, in my opinion. So this is what, look, you knew when Devontae Adams was gone You had a feeling this was not going to be good. We were told, oh, Lazard's going to. We knew. Come on, Bill. Come on. We've been around forever, right?
Right.
We knew that this was going to turn out good. So what they're doing now is it's like they're almost popping circumstances with Rodgers, and they have to make the team better. They're going to have to really figure this out and only be bad for 1 year. And bring Love in. Like you said, they're going to have to pay Love $20 million the year after next.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have to do that. So they can't keep Rodgers. People are going to have to face it. They can't keep him.
Right.
It's not. It's going to be a disaster if they do. They can't surround him with anybody. People have to realize this. You can't put the rest of the chessboard together anymore. It's not going to work. We're not going to have hope like we did when we were told, like I just said, Lazard is going to be your number one. Come on now. Come on, anybody had common sense knew that wasn't going to work.
Right.
So we have to cut bait, Bill. We have to do that. So this is what we have to do. So they're going to have to do this stuff, or else we're going to stink even longer. And then the young players that we have, they're going to be in the league 3 years already. And not surrounded with anybody, so their contracts are going to be up in a couple of years after that. You have to look at the big picture here. You know,
yeah.
And like I said, I have nothing against Rodgers. Just that you have to move on. You have to.
Yeah, I the only way you can move on from Rodgers, like I said, is trade him after June 1st. And that's it. First of all, you're going to find a suitable deal, a team that has the salary cap space to take him on. I mean, all of those things, all those parameters have to be sought out. He doesn't really have, from what I understand, a no trade clause. But remember, this is the guy that very publicly ripped an organization for not taking care of the players. So you would assume they're going to try in some way, shape, or form to take care of him. But there's no way in hell you're trading him to an NFC team. Which means you start
looking. Trade them to,
yeah.
Right.
Now you're going to start looking for an AFC team to send them to, and then you're going to try to find an AFC team that doesn't have a quarterback, that doesn't have an up and comer, and that wants to take a shot at it for a couple of years. So
that's the Jets.
Yeah, that's pretty much the Jets and where they're at right now. Wouldn't that be ironic that yet another aging Hall of Fame quarterback coming out of Green Bay goes to New York?
Well, but Bill, one more thing. They have to do all this and have an agreement this year because you don't want to trade them to the team and your draft picks are going to be you know what I mean?
Right.
So you want to get the draft picks this year.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So you have to have an agreement in place. So they're really screwed. People have to understand this. This is like, it was, as soon as that thing happened with Devontae Adams, this team was screwed. It was screwed.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
So people have to understand this. And it's nothing personal against Rodgers. You know what I'm saying? It's just that they screwed up. It's a total, if I was sitting in a gin mill with you, I'd use the proper word. It's a total blankety blank, right? So.
Right. No, I know. I completely get it. I completely get it.
So, it's terrible. What are you going to do? So it is, to me, when I look at it now, and I'm looking at the 70s and 80s, and I'm saying, I'm going back to those days and I'm saying, oh, well, that player's good. Oh, that player's good. That's how bad it is.
Right.
You
it's the play for where they're at. And thanks as always, Gerard. We're going to take a quick break. But the play for where we're at right now, the level of just fundamental ineptitude is somewhat alarming. Let's do this. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, I want to address something, and I take offense to it because you can't be this stupid. So I'm gonna talk about something over on the Bud Light live stream when we come back. Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others, time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or pirate ship or a sports themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine, a place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
Week 13 and the Packers getting ready to face the Bears Sunday in Chicago. Both teams have their bye next week. The Bears are pretty banged up after their loss to the Jets in New York Sunday. Wide receiver Darnell Mooney and veteran safety Eddie Jackson both placed on season-ending IR yesterday. Tight end Cole Kmet on just how physical that game was.
Just thought we got our ass kicked, honestly. Down some numbers, but yeah, just got our ass kicked up front, honestly. I think that's just kind of what it was, and they just played way better than we did.
Aaron Rodgers was concerned if he suffered a rib injury Sunday night against the Eagles that could puncture a lung. Rodgers, on the McAfee show, was asked what did the MRI show.
Well, we're not eliminated. I got good news with the scans yesterday, so I plan on playing this week.
The Packers waived former Raiders safety Jonathan Abram after just 3 weeks in Green Bay and signed Innis Gaines to the roster from the practice squad. Gaines is an undrafted safety from TCU who worked out daily and to make ends meet delivered for DoorDash in Beaumont, Texas, while he waited to get a call from the NFL.
I couldn't get like a normal job and still work out how I wanted to because any day you get the call for somebody to come work out. So it's like I can't be the job working out and try to get workout and try to have family time. So I was like, I'll just work out and do DoorDash to make money, make ends meet. Yeah, because you get your own schedule basically. Like you work when you want to work, so I'll work out, and then get time to do DoorDash, do a couple hours of that, and do a couple hours in the evening, and then hang out with my family and stuff. So try to make things to eat. So that was perfect, really, where you work your own hours. So that was fun.
Do you prefer this or DoorDash?
Oh yeah, football for sure. Football for sure. I don't mind clocking in every day. That's not an issue.
That's Packers safety Ennis Gaines. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Good to have you. Bill Michaels Show continuing on. This portion brought to you by our friends at Quick Trip, and you use your quick rewards. I stopped there today, as a matter of fact. I had to go out and pick up my car. I'm going to do it again because the car I took back, the rental, needed gas. Stopped at Quick Trip. I'm going to do it again because my car's low before I head down to do the huddle tonight. So doubling up on my chances to get the quick rewards card and have my name drawn in the opening drive contest, maybe even this Sunday. Packers taking on the Bears. So when they call your name, Wayne and Larry, and they say, hey, the opening drive is brought to you by Quick Trip, and we are playing for such and such. Hopefully it says Bill Michaels. And with every yard garnered on the opening drive of the Green Bay Packers, you get $10. Not a bad way to go. If they score, 500. That's some nice gauge, especially this time of year. You take it. I see gas is going down a little bit, too. You get a lot more for your buck right now. But that being said, all you got to do is go in and use your quick rewards card, type in your number, and you're good to go. It's that simple. And that's from our friends over there at Quick Trip. Quick Trip, good people. Good people. Just saw Don was retiring at the end of the year. Boy, well deserved. What you talk about a company that he put together. Holy moly. Took a small buttermilk and eggs company and just grew it into this massive monstrosity that is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful cornerstone in the state of Wisconsin. Just love it. Let's go to John listening to us in Virginia. John, welcome to the program, man. What's going on?
What's going on, Bill, man? Just what's going on, Bill? Just just wanted to make some comments on what you guys were talking about. I've been listening to you for I guess a couple months now because I found out about you guys on the Odyssey app. So it's great to hear some Green Bay talk radio out here.
Awesome.
So
thank you.
It's definitely something that's awesome. So I mean, a lot of these people are calling in. They're saying, Rodgers, we should trade Rodgers. First of all, I think that's crazy. I think Rodgers is tough. I mean, I think Rodgers through his career. I mean, he's not Brett Favre tough, but he's tough. I mean, he's not one of these guys. Oh, he gets hurt. He wants to come back. He's a competitor. He wants to play. So I think he is tough. I think that maybe, and now, maybe Rodgers sees something in Jordan Love, like Favre saw something in Rodgers, and maybe that's why Favre didn't want to give up his position, so to speak, and say he was injured when maybe he could have, taken some time to recover from, something that he was injured or an ailment or something. So maybe Rodgers is seeing stuff that we don't see, obviously, in practice and stuff. And maybe he thinks, if I do take these days off to recover, maybe Jordan Love is going to step in. And I mean, obviously, if he sees Jordan Love at practice, he doesn't think he's a threat to him. I mean, why not take the time to recover? But if you see the guy as a genuine threat in the sense that he could come in and do what he's supposed to do, and maybe make it difficult, maybe down the road to like it was with Rodgers and Favre to make the decision. I mean, I think that may be something that we're not thinking about that may be good. Maybe Rodgers is seeing, hey, Love is really somewhere where he might be able to step in at some point. Here's the thing. Appreciate the phone call. I want to get to that because you bring up the point that I wanted to make going to break.
I don't know. At least early on, we could kind of see what Rodgers had. He had something different. I don't think they saw that in Jordan Love. I really don't. I think they thought that maybe he could develop into that, but I don't think they saw that in Jordan Love. I don't think Rodgers is fearing Love. I think it's just there's a lot of, you want to continue to play. You got your own competitive drive. You're making a lot of money. You're always going to be compared to Favre, all that. So it's not just the Jordan Love thing. But I'll say this, and I'm going to go back to something Gary said over on the Bud Light live stream. And he said, now everybody, he said, I stuck up for Jordan Love when the Packers fans were ripping him during every preseason game he played, claiming he was a bust. I think those people are going to eat crow. Are you kidding me? Are you that stupid, Gary? After 2 drives, I don't remember you saying that after Kansas City last year. I don't remember you saying that after Detroit last year. But after 2 drives in a game against Philadelphia, suddenly we have to eat crow? That's what you're basing his career on. Nobody's that stupid. when you have a team that is game planning for him, when you've got a team that is completely his and his alone, then we'll find out. But when you say eat crow because of what? Because he hit a couple of passes and threw one to Christian Watson and it looked good? I've admitted, in case you didn't listen, or maybe you want to pull your fingers out of your ears, I said he had a good game. He played pretty well. But 2 drives does not a career make. So nobody's eating any crow. And up until this point, nobody was looking at Jordan Love as the next coming. So cool your brakes right now. Cool the jets. Just say, you know what? It was a couple of drives. They look pretty good. We'll see what happens the remainder of the season. We'll see what happens next season. We'll see what happens if he's here. We'll see what happens if he's not. But if you're basing hey, here's my middle finger, I told you so on 2 drives, then I hope to God, if I go back in time and look after last year's Kansas City game, after last year's second half of the Detroit game, and any other game and 2 drives that come up moving forward, that you come back and go, I'm sorry, I guess you shouldn't eat crow. Nobody's that stupid. Come on. Mark Schofield, SB Nation, going to be joining us coming up next. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Stick around. Got a lot more. 3 more hours to go. Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
To run the last 5 and see where we stand after that. So that's the focus for me. I might miss practice Wednesday, will not be a full contributor, but that's kind of been standard for the last 6-7 weeks. Go to my one of my favorite places to play down in Chicago, and hopefully get a big win, get into the bye week, get healthy, and see where we can get to.
Kickoff Sunday from Soldier Field is at noon. To college basketball, Chucky Hepburn, Tyler Wall, and Stephen Krall would combine to score 55 of Wisconsin's 75 points, but in a loss to Wake Forest, 78-75. Their defense didn't show up. Here's more from head coach Greg Gard.
Credit to our guys for battling back and fighting their way back to it. But defensively, like I said, I'll go through the tape. There was a lot of uncharacteristic things that we had not done this year, and we've got to figure them out and learn from it and get better in a hurry.
Up next, Wisconsin will travel to face in-state rival Marquette on Saturday.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Currently sitting second in the East with a 14-5 record. The Milwaukee Bucks are back in action tonight. They're out in New York taking the Knicks for a 6:30 tip. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
And welcome in all. Good to have you. Hour number 2 of the Bill Michaels Show. Boy, it's blustery outside. A lot of people chiming in many different ways. I see the live stream itself going up. I had a few people that said they lost the internet, so now they're on their phones watching the program. Lost the internet. They're working in the offices today. Blustery outside, so keep the hatches battened down. And there's gale warnings over on Lake Michigan, as a matter of fact, for large ships. So gale warnings out there. Be careful. 877-867-1670. We now bring in our buddy Mark Schofield, SB Nation. You can find him at Mark Schofield, joining us now on the hotline. Mark, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Bill. How are you today?
Doing great. I mean, obviously, we wish the Packers were able to pull out that exciting game and somewhat of a horrific defensive performance. But nevertheless, it's Packers-Bears week. Aaron Rodgers says he's going to play. We're still waiting to find out officially if Justin Fields is going to be out there on the field. But for the most part, everybody seems to be taking betting-wise the Green Bay Packers to win this one. You tell me what you saw in that game between the Packers and the Eagles the other night that gives you any kind of optimism.
Well, I mean, I think there might be some optimism to be found, perhaps, with respect to the passing game and what they were able to do at times in the passing game. There's some optimism perhaps to be found there. You look at the stint that you saw in that game that might give you an eye towards the future, particularly with Jordan Love going 6 for 9 for 113 yards and the touchdown. I think that shows you, at least in a small sample size, that there might be something that the Packers have there to work with. Flipping it around a little bit, the inability to stop the run, that Eagles run game, even with, feature Jalen Hurts as well, what he can do with his legs, that's something that at some point you're going to have to sort of sort out. And I know there are a lot of questions about this Packers defense and what they've done, or perhaps more accurately failed to do this year. And so I think that's going to be, I know that's going to be a huge focus of discussion around Green Bay over the coming days, weeks, and even months. And so, I think that's something that has to certainly get sorted out. I know that the big question right now is what to do with Aaron Rodgers over the next couple of weeks. I know he said that he wants to go. He says he's going to play this week, and I certainly understand why he'd want to go up against this Chicago Bears defense. I mean, they just made Mike White look like an all-pro Hall of Famer last week. So I'm sure Rodgers wants to get some snaps and throws in against that group. But then maybe after the bye, it might be sort of time to say, okay, we're not going to make the playoffs. Even if you win this week 5-8, probably not going to get in. Maybe it's time to sort of give Jordan Love some starts, because as we know, decisions have to be made over the next couple of months about what this team's going to do roster-wise.
The thought is that everybody needs to see Jordan Love. At this point in time, if you're the coaching staff and the general manager, you've had him in your system 3-4 years now, you kind of know what you got, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, we use that phrase all the time, right, Bill? Like when we're talking about a younger quarterback, or quarterback on his first year, his first contract, quarterback as a rookie that hasn't seen the field. You're seeing it in Atlanta right now. Oh, you have to see what you have in Desmond Ridder. I think at this point we sort of ignore that they're seeing Jordan Love every day in practice. They're seeing what he's doing week in and week out. They have an idea of what he can do. I think the understanding and the idea of giving him some starts, though, is to give him the opportunity to approach it not just in practice, to approach it not just in mop-up duty like we saw, this weekend, to give him the sort of week. Like, you're the starter. Monday morning, we're installing the game plan with you in mind. This is what we're going to do. Give him a couple of weeks as an NFL starting quarterback, handling the job from Monday to Sunday. I think there is something to be gained from giving him that opportunity and evaluating him through that lens. So I think at some point you have to sort of give him that opportunity to see what you have in Jordan Love as a starting quarterback, not just a quarterback in the NFL that's getting some snaps here and there. And so I think it is important to give him that chance, see what he does, and then evaluate him through that lens.
The playoff standings, it's very unlikely the Packers are going to find themselves in the playoffs, even if they would run the table at this point. They just got so much climbing to do. But I do want to talk about the Eagles get a win, and like you said, the Packers, they couldn't tackle anybody, but the Eagles gave up 30 points. Is there an Achilles heel to this Philadelphia Eagles team that leads the NFC right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at Philadelphia's defense, over the past couple of weeks, certainly after Jordan Davis went down, they've struggled at times to stop the run. It's why they brought in Linval Joseph. It's why they brought in Dominican Sue. Now they've got, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson with a lacerated kidney. So they've had some injuries in the secondary that are starting to pile up and is going to cause them some problems going forward. From the Eagles' perspective, part of it is also schematic. Jonathan Gannon at times, and the Eagles fans get lit their hair on fire at times when he's a little bit more conservative, playing off coverage, not bringing pressure as much as they'd like to see. And so these are some things that, similar to what we just talked about with the Green Bay Packers, that the Eagles are going to have to figure out down the stretch, because You know, at one time, and we talked about this, Bill, a couple of weeks ago, it looked like, yeah, the Eagles are the best team in the NFC, no question. Now that seems to have softened a little bit. You see the inconsistencies on defense, the injuries up front and in the secondary. There's some questions about, okay, look, the run game was obviously great against the Packers, but what about the passing game? You know, A.J. Brown has been, you know, banged up a little bit, nicked up a little bit. He had an illness as well where he lost, I think, like 7 pounds or something like that, had a ruptured eye vessel from vomiting. You know, so he's been sort of missing in the passing game for them. And so, you know, the Eagles do have some questions that they need to answer, particularly when you look around and you see, oh, maybe Dallas is making a little bit of a run. Maybe San Francisco has put some things together. You know, when at one time it looked like, yeah, you know, the Eagles are the team to beat. They're the clear class of the NFC. That's changed in the past couple of weeks. So the Eagles have some things to figure out as they look ahead to the playoffs.
I want to talk about the Vikings and the sense that the Vikings get just destroyed by the Cowboys. They bounced back last week, but sitting at 9-2, one of their losses obviously against Philadelphia. Are they for real in the fact that they now have Hawkinson? They've added that additional weapon. That tight end position is viable now. Or is this still, even though their defense has played well, they haven't played great, and it's still somewhat questionable?
I mean, I think it's still somewhat questionable. I mean, I remember we had this discussion last week, and I said, look, just when I was starting to get in on Minnesota, because I've been lukewarm on them at best for most of the season, they go out and have that game where they just get blown out. It was a nice bounce back win against New England. I think part of what we saw in that game was, you know, they found some ways to execute in the passing game. Kirk Cousins, I think, did a good job sort of neutralizing New England's 4-man pass rush and Matthew Judon. Brian O'Neill, their right tackle, he had a very good game against Matthew Judon as well, you know, sort of limiting the pressures. Cousins did a good job getting the ball out quickly. And so I think that was good from the offensive side of things. You know, defensively, Patriots fans for 3.5 quarters saw a vertical passing game that was actually a little bit explosive. You know, and obviously Minnesota had some injuries in the secondary that might have contributed to that, but I think that's going to be an issue for the Vikings going forward. If New England could put up, you know, points the way they did on Thursday night, when they're a mid to low end of the spectrum kind of passing offense, they're not one of the best passing games in the league. You know, what are they going to do against teams down the stretch that have better passing games? And so it was a good win for Minnesota, but I'm still sort of in the wait and see mode with them because, you know, it's hard to ignore what we saw against a very good Dallas team a couple of weeks ago.
I also want to talk about the team that's behind them, not San Francisco. I mean, everybody else, you know, you've got the Philadelphia Eagles, Minnesota Vikings, 10-9 wins. Everybody else is quite a bit less than that. San Francisco with 7, Tampa Bay with 5. Dallas at least has 8 wins on the season, but they're going to go in as a wild card at this point. The Giants with 7 wins. Tell me, out of that lot, San Francisco, Tampa Bay, Dallas, New York, even Washington to a certain extent, who's got that opportunity to actually win the NFC?
You know, I look at San Francisco, you know, San Francisco and Dallas, I think are probably the two that I would look at. I look at what San Francisco could do offensively with McCaffrey, with Debo, the different ways they can create conflict with those players as matchup potential nightmares for defenses. I look at, you know, what they can do on the defensive side of the ball as well. They've been impressive this year. You know, and Jimmy Garoppolo, say what you want about him. I know he gets a lot of criticism for some, you know, some throws or missed opportunities in big games. Obviously, the Super Bowl comes to mind, the miss late in that game. But with these weapons around him and what Kyle Shanahan has done so far with McCaffrey in the fold, there's opportunities for him to make quick reads, quick throws, get the ball out, be a point guard. And that's where he's at his best. And so I think San Francisco obviously is a team to worry about, you know, if you're a fan of another NFC team. And then Dallas, you know, you look at that defense, you look at their ability to get pressure, you look at their ability to get pressure with 4. They're one of the best teams in the entire NFL at pressure and with 4. And that's a tried and true recipe for success as a defense. If you can get pressure consistently with 4, play with coverage numbers in the secondary, we definitively have, you know, 4 over 3 and 3 over 2, regardless of what you're doing coverage wise. That's always a recipe for success. And so those two teams, San Francisco and Dallas, those are the 2 teams that I trust the most in the NFC right now. And that might even, frankly, include the Eagles because of what we've seen from them in the past couple of weeks.
Talking with Mark Schofield, SB Nation, at Mark Schofield over on Twitter. Now, the big news coming out of the AFC is obviously that Deshaun Watson's coming back to the Cleveland Browns. Now, they're pretty much dead in the water, we all know, but at least for the first time in a year and a half, or a little bit more, Deshaun Watson's going to make his return. He's got to not only fight all of the stigma that's out there about him, but then he's got to be able to shake off a year and a half worth of rust. What are the Cleveland Browns? I mean, because they've got a ton of money wrapped up into this guy. So give me your thoughts on Deshaun Watson coming back and how Cleveland kind of does the remainder of the year and what they're looking for.
I mean, I think what they're looking for, Bill, is to sort of see Watson get back into game shape and get game speed back. Like you said, it's been a year and a half since he's been on the field. It's been a very long time, and that is a long layover for a quarterback who's now in a new offense. And let's not forget, because of the suspension and the terms of the suspension, he was away from the building. He couldn't come back even to the facility, until a couple of weeks ago. And so he's going to be in a new offense after a year and a half layoff. And we're going to see if the Browns can get him into a position where next year this is an offense that could perhaps make a run for the playoffs. Because like you said, that they're too far behind in the AFC to really make any sort of run. So this is all about sort of getting his legs back under him, getting him familiar with that offense, getting him familiar with the concepts that Kevin Stefanski is going to be calling. Now, it's interesting that, look, every week, past couple of years, on Wednesday, their starting quarterback speaks to the media. Watson's not going to be made available today, so that sort of, highlights the fact that there are other issues and circumstances to his return than just the on the field. We know that. We've seen that with the suspension and everything that has happened around Deshaun Watson over the past couple of years and months. But on the field, between the lines, next couple of weeks about getting him in that offense, getting him familiar with Kevin Stefanski's system, and making it so that he's ready next year to put the pieces together. Because like you said, Bill, guaranteed millions upon millions of an investment into Deshaun Watson. They need to make sure that this can work for the long term on the field.
I want to look at the Dolphins because I find them intriguing because of the year that Tua has had, obviously, and everything that he went through adversity-wise early on this season. And then over the 5 of the next 6 games, it's against teams with winning records, and they're sitting right now right behind the Kansas City Chiefs for the top spot in the AFC. Who'd have thought that the Dolphins would rise this quick by the addition of Tyreek Hill and a couple other offensive players for Tua? But talk about their opportunities here.
I mean, they have it all to play for. I mean, when you look at what they've done to this point of the season, when you look at some of the wins that they've had and the ability that they've shown to be so explosive in the passing game, to really stretch defenses at all levels to the field, if you're a Dolphins fan, there's a reason why Dolphins fans are extremely, extremely excited and extremely vocal, online, on social media and elsewhere, because, they heard all summer long that the big question was was he going to take the stride that he needed to? Was he going to make the investment in the trade for Tyreek Hill and all the other additions that they made on the offensive side of the ball around the quarterback position? Was Tua going to be good enough to make those pay off? And we've seen that so far this season. They have an unblemished record, and I know quarterback wins aren't exactly a stat, but when he's been in the lineup, they've won. But like you said, they've got some games down the stretch here, and you're going to see a lot of important, critical, tough games league-wide because of the way the schedule seems to be stacking up. But they've got 3 straight road games coming up, at San Francisco, at the Chargers, and then at Buffalo over the next 3 weeks. Like, that's a very big stretch. They get the Packers at home and then a trip to Foxborough to play New England, and then the Jets in the final game of the season. Those are some good teams. Those are some very good defense. New England with a very good defense. The Jets with a very good defense. Niners, we talked about them, what they can do defensively. And so these are some critical games and critical tests for Miami. Their ability to be explosive, the speed they have, the wide receiver position, the stress they put on defenses, it's caused some defensive breakdowns for other teams. If that holds, they can certainly win this division with the weapons that they have and the way that Tua is running that offense.
Real quick before I let you go, you got what I consider 2 really big games coming up this weekend. One of them obviously being Thursday night, the Bills trying to put everything back together, taking on the Patriots in New England. And then obviously on Sunday, the Chiefs in a rematch of that AFC Championship game, this time in Cincinnati. Let's start with the Bills and the Patriots real quick. Bills, they need this one big time, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, both teams need this one. New England's playoff hopes right now take a critical hit if they lose on Thursday. Buffalo needs to win to stay, in a position to win the AFC East, and they need to shake off a little bit of rust of their own. I mean, they've had some red zone woes. Josh Allen's thrown 11 interceptions, which is tied for most in the league. Both teams really need a win in this game. I think what's going to be the matchup to sort of watch when Buffalo has the football, How does New England play defensively? Do we see more zone coverage looks like we saw on Thursday night against the Vikings? Do they go back to the man coverage stuff? They've been a very heavy man coverage, single high coverage team this year. How do they decide to play Josh Allen in that Bills passing game? I think that's the matchup that's going to really determine this game. New England's going to want to run the ball, go play action. We know what they're going to do offensively, but what does it look like when Allen has the football? How does Bill Belichick, how does Steve Belichick, Gerard Mayo, how do they play defense against him?
And then obviously you got Kansas City in Cincinnati, and Cincinnati held Jamar Chase out of the game the other day against Tennessee because they wanted to make sure he was ready to go for this contest. They're really kind of hoping that he comes back and doesn't miss a beat because they're going to need everything to be able to beat Kansas City because their defense is playing good, but by no means great. And we know that, Patrick Mahomes, obviously, even after losing Tyreek Hill, has had a hell of a season with his offense.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a fantastic year with that offense. They're getting guys involved. They're doing some stuff out of 3 tight end packages in the downfield passing game, which has been impressive. But, I mean, I think the point you led with, Bill, keeping Chase out because we've seen Chase have huge games against Kansas City in the past. Over the past couple of weeks, T. Higgins has had 2 of his best games as a Bengal with what he's done against Pittsburgh and then last week against Tennessee. Some of those back shoulder throws that Burrow loved to make in Chase's direction. He's been targeted Higgins on those the past couple of weeks. Teams when Chase went down, looks like some defenses, Tennessee in particular, really focused on Tyler Hill in the slot. That's what opened up opportunities for Higgins. And so I think this is a game where you're going to see a ton of points. I think both offenses are going to put up points. But with Chase back, Cincinnati certainly has a chance to win this game. Do they pull that off? That remains to be seen because trying to outscore Patrick Mahomes is sometimes tough. They've done it before. Who knows if they can do it again?
Good stuff as always, Mark. I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out a couple of extra minutes, and we'll talk again next week, okay?
Sounds great, Bill. Have a great week. Enjoy the game.
You too, bud. Appreciate it. There you go. That's our buddy Mark Schofield, SB Nation. You can find him at Mark Schofield over there on SB Nation, joining us for a couple of minutes. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Kane and Kane Jewelers in West Bend. It is that time of year. You're going to start thinking about maybe a little bit of jewelry, some gift ideas. Go to canejewelry.com, canejewelry.com. And you can see for yourself all that they have to offer, not to mention they've got the podcast, the Buy Like a Guy podcast. You can see that as well. Andy does a terrific job with that. So a lot of reasons to make a trip to West Bend and a lot of, holiday good gets out there as well. But, man, they have got some beautiful, beautiful jewelry. Go to canejewelry.com, K-O-E-H-N, canejewelry.com. More of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Cool weather, brisk winds, and a hot deal. Hi, this is Gina Della from Pella. Is your home ready for winter weather? Don't wait. Right now, put no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 2 years. When it's cold outside, thanks to Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, you'll be warm and toasty inside. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin can be installed in as little as a day with little to no disruption to your family or your home. Plus, you'll get expert advice from our Pella specialists, professional installation by Pella's certified installers, and the excellent service our customers have come to expect. And Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin has products and warranty offers you won't find anywhere else. Don't wait for the heating bills to start piling up. Right now, put no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 2 years at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Expires 11/30/2022. Certain exclusions and restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
Here they come, the holidays. What to get the special people in your life? Good food? Better yet, great meat. Go to SchulzeFamilyBeef.com. That's SchulzeFamilyBeef.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program, The Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. Hey, our good friends, the Rock Complex down in Franklin, Lux Golf, now open at the Ballpark Commons. And they got 57 bays. They have heat. So even if you want to get your game on here in the colder months, go ahead and do it. 250-yard long turf range. You can experience the premier entertainment facility in Wisconsin. And don't forget, the Enchanted North Pole is going on right now at Lux Golf as well. So you can take the kids, family, friends, clients. You can rent it out for parties. Right now, it's the Sunday dates all the way through September 24th. Also Thursday, December 22nd. And they've got hot cocoa and brunches and dinners. And Mrs. Claus is there. Photo opportunities. Story time with Santa and the elves. All kinds of good stuff. You can build a toy if you choose to do so. If you're an adult, you can, build maybe a golf club and go upstairs and smack it around a little bit at the Lux Golf. But you got the point. Great stuff. The Enchanted North Pole. You can find it at enchantednorthpole.com, enchantednorthpole.com. And otherwise, just go down to Franklin and say, hey, I want to rent a bay, bring some friends along, heat up the cold air, and you're good to go. Good stuff from our friends down there. And great supporters, by the way, of Fisher House, Wisconsin. They were huge in the opening leg of our motorcycle ride this year, benefiting veterans and big supporters of veterans. Obviously, the home of the Milwaukee Milkmen in the summer and the Umbrella Bar, and they're opening up the ski hole. There's so much to do down there. Check out our friends from Rock Ventures down there in Franklin. Good stuff. 877-867-1670. Want to hit us up? Please feel free to go ahead and do so. A lot of good stuff today. Thanks to Mark Schofield of SB Nation for joining us for a couple of minutes as well. Really good stuff there. This one is from Anthony. Anthony says, hey, Unit, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't play, will he be ridiculed for not playing against the Bears? This is what we were talking about earlier. So if he says, first of all, he's playing. So it's kind of a moot point to even get into that discussion. He's playing. There's no doubt about that. But that would be one of the thoughts, I guess, for Bears fans anyway, to say, you can play, but you know your team's not that good. You don't own us anymore. Hell yeah, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I want to play. I want to play for selfish reasons. I want to play to keep winning. I want to play because I'm getting paid to play. You know, you're getting paid a lot of money to play. Speaking of a lot of money, if the Packers want to trade Aaron Rodgers in the offseason, first of all, you got to wait until after June 1st. I know Sport Track put it up, but you got to wait until after June 1st. And the $4 million worth of dead cap, apparently, at least according to many, wouldn't stop the Packers from trading him away if they chose to do so, because they could divide that up over a couple of years. So it's $20 million this year, $20 million next year. It'd be somewhat of a hit, plus some salary. The bigger question is there a team out there that's going to give up a lot asset-wise for the $60 million remaining on Aaron Rodgers' contract? Some teams probably would. We talked about the Jets a little bit earlier. Maybe the Jets go in that direction. But there's only going to be so many suitors. And you got to remember, I mean, unless a team absolutely falls on their head and gives up the world for Aaron Rodgers in the NFC, I can't imagine them like dealing him off to Carolina, dealing him off to New Orleans. They've got quarterbacks. San Francisco obviously would be an attractive one for Rodgers, but I don't think they would ever do that. I don't think they're going to deal him to Seattle. I don't think that's going to happen.
No, they got Geno Smith.
Yeah, they got.
They
Geno
don't need
Smith,
Rodgers.
Who's the comeback player of the year for what he's been able to accomplish. But Miami, Buffalo, New England all have good young quarterbacks. Maybe the Jets, as we discussed earlier. Baltimore's got Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson, Pittsburgh. But, is Pittsburgh just a quarterback away? Will they give up that kind of money? They just saw an aging Ben Roethlisberger break apart before their very eyes. Could maybe a team like Tennessee? They've paid Tannehill and he's been good, but he's not Rodgers. There's probably a couple of teams out there that could do it, but not many. Not many. And then would you say dare, going through that, because you got already, Jacksonville has their quarterback, but do you go Houston? And then are you talking about doing the disservice to Rodgers by saying, you want to play for a championship? See if you can't put Houston on your back and make that team better at 1-9, So there's not many opportunities to trade him. That's why I don't think it's going to happen. Unless some team falls on their head to do so, I can't imagine Aaron Rodgers being traded away. I don't think that's going to happen. 877-867-1670. Let's do this. We're going to step out, take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll get to Ryan. Got Eric from Green Bay. Got a cast of thousands all on hold. I know, Eric, you've been waiting a while, so hang in there. I promise to get to you. Stay tuned. We got more coming up right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. Hey, you know who's winning? Who's playing well? What to do over the holidays? Oh, it's Milwaukee Admirals hockey. That's right, Milwaukee Admirals hockey, and you've got a really good hockey team here in the state of Wisconsin, other than the Badgers, of course. So if you get a chance, you want some individual tickets, you want to go for a group outing, you want to go to a game and then catch a concert after the game, they have all kinds of promotions coming up and all kinds of announcements still coming. Go to MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. That is MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. And take it from me. It's a great time. I'm going to do it, as a matter of fact. I'm going to be at a couple of Admirals games here over the holiday season. So I'm looking forward to it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Let's go to Eric. Eric, welcome to the program, man. What's up?
How's it going, Bill? How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. What's on your mind?
Oh, I'm just listening to this Rogers talk, and I've heard this guy a couple of times now, one of the previous callers. First of all, he says, that he's thrilled to be picking in the top 10. I fail to see where that's a good thing, unless your GM is packaging your first and your third or your fourth round pick to move up in the first. Picking in the pack in the top 10 just generically means that you sucked. Okay. The other thing he speaks about is how the level of excitement in the room is, Rogers threw a touchdown. Yeah. Love threw that touchdown, but it was like we won the Super Bowl. All the excitement. It's like, dude, were you watching the game? Do you think Love makes the pass to Cobb for the touchdown?
Mm-hmm.
That was that was a pass.
Right.
That was a laser. I mean, what? I mean, I'm not trying to down Love, but Love hasn't even reached the level of proficiency of Matt Flynn yet. And we all saw what happened when Matt Flynn left Green Bay. Okay. I mean, he hit Watson on a wide open slant right in the middle of the field, right in front of him, and Watson flies. So, it was cool to see. It's very good to see his progression. He looks much better. I think we're in far better hands if Rodgers can't play. And it proves that bringing Tom Clements back was smart. And all these people want the same guy, the Green Bay Rodgers is. Give me a break, man.
Mm-hmm.
You think Rodgers is wearing a suit and tie and sitting at Goody's desk during the daytime? No, he's not. And many of his suggestions have worked. Can we say that it was a good thing to bring Cobb back? Can we say it was a good thing to bring Clemens back? Yeah, we sure can.
Yeah.
So I like one of the other previous callers. I don't understand this rush to want to, run Rodgers out of here. I just think it's absolutely silly. I mean, if you listen to, he's not holding the team hostage. Somebody was going to get the guy, and somebody was going to pay him that money.
Mm-hmm.
It's better that he's here. And then you listen to Love's own words. I love this kid. All right, nothing against the player. And he may very well turn out to be a quality quarterback. I think that 2020 draft was an absolute freaking disaster. And with DeGuara, just a guy. Dillon hasn't really lived up to the Earl Campbell hype. Love's a backup. I mean, I would much rather see them take that first and a third or a fourth and move up in the first and get into the top 10 that way. But, Love's own words, Love was asked, do you think you can basically, I'm paraphrasing here because I don't have a quote in front of me or anything, but he was asked, do you think you can move the ball with this offense just as good as Rodgers can? Dude didn't even think about it. He didn't hesitate. He said, nope.
Right.
That was it. Nope. No explanation, no but in the feed. No, just nope.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take Love's word for it.
Yeah.
I do like the kid. But I think people need to pump the brakes here, man.
Yeah.
We have a Hall of Fame quarterback who has been very banged up and still making throws like he hit Cobb with in the end zone.
Well, that throw that he had to Aaron Jones a
forward
couple
to
of weeks ago, too, where he tossed it right into the bucket between two defenders into the corner of the end zone. I mean, there's not a lot of guys that are making that throw either. I agree with you.
Right. And I really want to see Rodgers. I mean, and I said this earlier, so sorry, Fan Nation, for getting redundant on y'all. But, man, we saw what Dobbs could do while Watson was injured. Now we've seen what Watson can do while Dobbs is injured. Man, let's see what Doc can do with these guys, having them all in the field at the same time. Let them get some sort of continuity going and some chemistry. I think it could be something real special. But, I mean, injuries have really jacked this team up this year as far as that goes.
Yep.
Anyway, thanks for taking my call, Bill. And,
all right, buddy.
Have a great day, man.
Appreciate it. You too. He drops off. You get on board. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. A lot of good points. I mean, I don't want to throw the big, bucket of ice water on the enthusiasm for Jordan Love and what he did against the Eagles. But I'm also saying that 2 drives is not a career make. So, while it was exciting, he did it with authority. He did it with some zip, made a couple of quality passes. I agree with all of that. Give him credit. Give him credit. He showed you something. He showed a little bit more moxie this year, even in the preseason, than what we had seen in the past. Not denying that. But what I'm saying is this whole thing of, well, it's got to be Love. Ready to move on. After 2 series? When you look at the total number of snaps he's gotten in the NFL, 1 bad game that was played against Kansas City, a bad second half against Detroit, and then 2 drives against the Eagles, and yeah, you throw him out. He's ready. I don't jump that fast. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Let's do this. Let's go to Ryan. Ryan, welcome to the program, man. What's going on?
Yeah, it's actually Brian, Bill.
Or Brian. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Hey, what I wanted to bring up, Aaron, I think he should be our starting quarterback. But the one thing that I concern myself with given the Bakhtiari syndrome and everything, all the other guys that have had ACL injuries, is if he plays out the season or most of the rest of the season, we're one ACL away from taking the hit financially and still having to play Love. That's the concern I have, because he doesn't play in the preseason because they're meaningless games.
Mm-hmm.
And once we get to the point where we are eliminated, I'll still say that once we get, because until we're eliminated, we're not, even if it's a 2% chance, I guess. But once eliminated, I think that's where Aaron should then go to the sideline, because for the better of the team, for himself, for next year, he needs to be healthy. He needs to be here and not rehabbing an ACL injury, which could happen at any time. That's my concern. It's $50 million down the tube if he can't play next year. And yeah, we'll get the chance to play Love, but the financial burden that will put on the team would just be, because you can't bring anybody else in. Then you didn't make a trade, you didn't do anything else. That's my concern. Is once it's meaningless, then I think you should heal.
Yeah. I wouldn't disagree completely with that. And I agreed with you because I mentioned it earlier this week that the one thing you don't want to do is in quote, a meaningless game is to get them hurt. On the other hand, can you hear it next year? If they start off relatively slow, they say, well, you didn't build the relationship and didn't continue building a relationship with Watson and Romeo Doubs and company when you had an opportunity to down the stretch last year. I can just hear both sides of it, but I think business-wise, you probably make the most sense, and appreciate the phone call. And that's right. I mean, again, you want to see Jordan Love in a couple more game situations, which I believe he's going to be, okay? So when you look at the games this coming weekend, who are you rooting for? You're rooting for the Packers to win. You're rooting for the Steelers to win and beat the Falcons, right? That Washington Commanders New York Giants game is, obviously you'd like the Commanders to have one more loss, so you'd like to see the Giants take a loss, I guess. The Eagles are the Eagles. They're going. Maybe the Seahawks get beat by the Rams. They're playing in L.A. Maybe the Seahawks get beat by the Rams. The 49ers most likely going to win their division, so I think it's relatively meaningless what happens in that game against the Dolphins. You got both the Cardinals and the Panthers are on bye, but they're not there. Then you got the Saints and the Buccaneers. You got to hope the Saints knock off the Buccaneers. And maybe the Colts beat the Cowboys. The Cowboys are going to the postseason. I mean, that's kind of what you're rooting for this weekend. There's a lot of vested interest in some of these games if you're the Packers and you're trying to mathematically stay alive. That's kind of what you're hoping for, because that Washington-New York game, both of those teams have already beaten the Packers. So in the head-to-head, you're going to lose. So I think you're just hoping for the team with the worst record to get the win, or I should say to get beat, and therefore the Packers have the ability to maybe overcome. But that's kind of what you're looking at this weekend. Look for the Buccaneers to get beat. Maybe the Cowboys to get beat by the Colts just because of principle. The Seahawks to get knocked off by the Rams. The 49ers if they get beat by the Dolphins. I don't think that it doesn't matter with the Vikings. And like I said, then the Falcons have to get beat by the Steelers. And you keep your mathematical hopes alive in that sense. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. This portion of our program is brought to you by New Mail Medical, keeping guys fit. A new year's coming up. Make it a new you. Give them a call. Say, look, whether it's the ED, low T, all-in-one weight loss program, supplements, more energy, more excitement, more enthusiasm, more mental clarity, whatever it is you need, whatever it is you're looking for, they can help you out. You can't do a damn thing if you don't pick up the phone and call. 414-455-4451. 414-455-4451. That's the New Mail Medical Center. Again, 414-455-4451. Just pick up the phone and call. It really does work.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
cool weather, brisk winds, and a hot deal. Hi, this is Gina Della from Pella. Is your home ready for winter weather? Don't wait. Right now, put no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 2 years. When it's cold outside, thanks to Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, you'll be warm and toasty inside. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin can be installed in as little as a day, with little to no disruption to your family or your home. Plus, you'll get expert advice from our Pella specialists, professional installation by Pella's certified installers, and the excellent service our customers have come to expect. And Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin has products and warranty offers you won't find anywhere else. Don't wait for the heating bills to start piling up. Right now, put no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 2 years at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Expires 11/30/2022. Certain exclusions and restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers practicing today, getting ready to face the Chicago Bears Sunday at Soldier Field. Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers says an MRI on his sore ribs was negative and was asked on the McAfee show why he should play Sunday or in the final 5 games of the regular season with a broken thumb.
You know, we're not eliminated. We got a chance to run the last 5 and see where we stand after that. So that's the focus for me. You know, I might miss practice Wednesday. Will not be a full contributor, but that's kind of been standard for the last, 6-7 weeks. Go to my one of my favorite places to play down in Chicago, and hopefully, get a big win, get into the bye week, get healthy, and see where we can get to.
Bears quarterback Justin Fields is recovering from a left shoulder injury. His backup, Trevor Siemian, says he suffered an oblique muscle strain Sunday against the Jets, but played anyway.
Yeah, just throwing. Something wasn't right. Flared up on me, and then got back in the locker room and figured something wasn't right again, but gave it a go, and yeah, that was that.
You get a shot to calm it down?
No shot. I don't think you shoot your ribs, but no, I didn't get a shot, just the medicine.
And the Packers made a roster change after just 3 weeks. They dropped former Raiders safety Jonathan Abram and promoted safety Ennis Gaines to the active roster. Gaines has a rep of being a hard hitter and explained why he got the nickname Thump from his teammates in high school.
I need a nickname to go by because people had a hard time saying Ennis. People say Enos or sometimes. So he was like, you need a nickname. So he was like, we should call you Thump Thump. So it started as Thump Thump, and everybody started changing it from Thump Thump to just single Thump, and it's stuck with it ever since.
That's Packers safety Ennis Thump Gaines in Green Bay. I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Welcome back to the program. Don't forget this weekend, hey, if you're looking for a great place to go in Chicago, the Sheraton Grand Chicago Riverwalk, that's where we stay. We've always stayed there. It's a fantastic place, and if you're going to be going to the Packers game, I suggest book your room. They got the holiday stuff going on down there, just in time for the holidays, as a matter of fact. So much to do in that town. If you could do some shopping, go over to the Christmas Kringle shops, whatever it happens to be, but then you go to the game. Maybe a big group of Packers fans leave together, then you go to the game, you come back. That's where you're going to find the Green Gold Postgame Show at the Shy Bar right there inside the Sheraton Grand Chicago Riverwalk. Love that place. Love that place. They have a good rate going on right now for Packers fans as well. Tell them you heard about it right here on this program even. Who knows? Get even a better deal or a worse deal if you tell me you're a Packers fan. Who knows? But that's where we're going to be, and hopefully you come by, you say hello, and we're going to have a good time. Hopefully it's a good time. Hopefully it's a Packers win. But a lot of intrigue going into this game. Will Aaron Rodgers still owe you Chicago or not? But we're going to be doing the Green and Gold postgame show live from the Sheraton Grand Chicago. Yes, from the Sheraton Grand Chicago Riverwalk inside the Shy Bar. Oh, I can't wait. Cannot wait. Love that stuff. 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free to go ahead and do so. 877-867-1670. By the way, there's a little bit of breaking news, I guess, might be the best way to put it. A couple of notable injury updates for the Bucs. Chris Middleton nearing his season debut, potentially as soon as this Friday against the Lakers. Darvin Ham and the Lakers. Not that Darvin Ham's playing, but Darvin Ham, a longtime assistant to Coach Budenholzer. And then the 76ers star James Harden targeting the return on Monday for the 3-game road trip, likely in Houston. But Chris Middleton, good news. Good news to get Chris Middleton back. Not a bad way to go. Looking forward to that. Get that thing back to full strength, and off we go. Ben, have you heard any rumors and innuendos about Grayson Allen possibly being traded?
I have not. Though I will say I'm not really in the Bucs rumor mill at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, I am. I mean, there's been like when you watch Bucs games, there's some talk, in some of the, the Bucs channel, which by the way, if you follow the, all the different distinctions over on TweetDeck, like I do, you can follow certain words. I follow the Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucs, all that kind of stuff. Has anybody else noticed that under the Bucs heading, it is nothing but a constant stream of Chinese porn? I'm not kidding you. It is. They use the term buck and bucks, and I don't know if it's an actor or what, but I mean it is a constant stream of Chinese porn in that hashtag. I'm not kidding you.
I think we're scratching the surface on why you're so often targeted by certain accounts.
No, I mean, I have TweetDeck, and I obviously, follow my accounts that are in one level. Do you not use TweetDeck?
I don't.
Okay.
I've never been able to get into it.
Okay. Well, I do. I use it. So I've got, on one side, it's all the people I follow. Then the next one is all the notifications that involve myself. Then after that, it's Packers, Brewers, Bucs, and Badgers. And then it's my direct messages after that. And in the Bucs column, it started, I guess, about a month ago. And I went through and I started blocking accounts, because it's just constant. I mean, I went through one day and it was like, I don't know, like 150 accounts. It's just repetitive stuff. And I guess they just have the porn bots or whatever, and they keep spamming it, but it keeps coming through under the term of buck or bucks. So that's the keyword that the tweet deck catches, and it puts them in that column. Oh my God. The stream of constant Chinese porn is amazing. Amazing. And I can't even begin to tell you how many accounts I've blocked, but it has to be now approaching 1,000. It has to be. It's that many.
I'm going to refrain from cutting that clip.
No, that's okay. You can throw that in there. They're not coming to us. It's not like they're coming onto our site. Like every now and then we get the porn bots or invade the live stream over on YouTube.
No, be careful with the language there.
Yeah, no, it's the porn bots. But yeah, it's been this constant stream of Chinese porn and Chinese singles and dating sites and such. Oh yeah, oh yeah. There you have it. By the way, some rumors floating around. Russell Wilson standing in the locker room. That it looked like apparently his wife, Ciara, threw him a birthday party. And it looked like only about half the locker room showed up. That was it. On a player's day off, why do people have to be so hurtful, it says, coming out of 9 Sports. But, yeah, apparently nobody really gave 2 damns about Russell Wilson's birthday. All right, let's do this. Tom Oates. Going to talk some Badger football when we come back. Oatsy's going to join us. Stay tuned. A whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up after this. Good to have you back. The Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. We've talked a lot about the Green Bay Packers over the last couple of hours. Now we move back to a little focus shift, if you will. Luke Fickell, the new head coach of the Wisconsin Badgers, joining us from the Wisconsin State Journal. You can follow him on Twitter at Tom Oates. Tom Oates now joining us. Tom, how you been, buddy?
I'm having a lot of fun.
It's certainly a busy time, I guess. I wish we were covering teams that were winning and moving on to playoffs and championships, but it's certainly busy. Let's start first and foremost with your reaction, the way that this whole process kind of came about very quickly, seemingly that suddenly Luke Fickell was the new head coach of the Badgers.
Yeah, I guess the surprise was that they kept the lid on it so well. I don't think anybody realized how extensive Chris McIntosh's interest in Luke Fickell obviously was, part becoming, later on. And I think some of the original reporting linking Fickell to Wisconsin came out of Cincinnati. So, we've all heard the old saying about the word assume, that you don't do it. And I think a lot of people assumed that Jim Leonard was just a natural for this job. Given the way this job has been hired in the past and other jobs here at Wisconsin. And it just seemed that Jim Leonard, clearly the program needed a new spark, but Jim Leonard's a bright young guy, with the NFL background, and it seemed like he was a guy that could give the program a spark. So it just seemed like a no-brainer. And obviously Chris McIntosh thought otherwise. I think he talked to some good people. I mean, he interviewed Lance Leipold, who certainly has a great track record as a winner. It appears that when he talked to Luke Fickell, he fell in love with Luke Fickell, and then acted upon that. And Luke Fickell, probably is right about at that time when he needs to make that one more move. Out of Cincinnati, out of a kind of a mid-major. I don't think Cincinnati's a mid-major program. That's unfair to them. It's a very good program in a decent league. And he needed to probably take that another step or two up the ladder, and he needed to do it probably now. So it all worked out. I mean, I think, you can't argue with Luke Fickell. You just can't. I mean, he's a terrific coach. My point is, I would have been happier from my viewing point as with Jim Leonard. I thought Jim Leonard understood the problems of the program and had planned to attack those problems, and that he was just a natural for the job. But to be real honest, I don't think he could have gone wrong either way.
Okay, let me ask you two things I want to get out of the way. One, it was, do you believe Jim Leonard, as it's been stated, blindsided by this? And two, do you think that there's any truth to the statement that maybe Jim Leonard might not have pursued the head coaching job as hard because he has the family, he has young kids, and the time commitment to that becomes somewhat of an obstacle as well?
I can assure you that Jim Leonard wanted the job and wanted it very badly. I think he was blindsided that, maybe he thought that, it was just a kind of a natural progression, the way Wisconsin has operated, that they would take one of their own, especially one of their own who appeared to be so well prepared. I mean, I can remember questions 5-6 years ago about Jim Leonard after 1 year as an assistant coach with the secondary. Oh, is he going to be a good defensive coordinator? Can he handle the expanded role? Well, he was great at the expanded role. I mean, I don't think there's any question that over the last 5 or 6 years he's been the best defensive coordinator in the country. And there's probably some statistics to back that up in terms of where his defense is ranked and all that. So, I guarantee you he wanted the job. I do believe he was blindsided by it. I think he was maybe blindsided more by the speed at which it happened, and he's told the next morning after his last game, and I'm sure he thought he was in the running, and maybe there was more process to go. I don't know, but yeah, I think he was blindsided, but no, he absolutely wanted the job. Trust me on that one.
Do you like Luke Fickell as the hire? You said you don't believe they could have gone wrong either way. Do you like what Luke Fickell brings to the table and the way he kind of sounded in his opening presser?
Yeah, I mean, he's a young, energetic guy. He's I don't know, he's young. He's a mid-age for a coach, but he's been at Ohio State. He understands. I mean, when they hired Barry, he had been at Notre Dame and Iowa, and some really successful programs. And when you hire guys who've been at successful programs, they certainly have the knowledge that goes with what it takes to run a really high-level winning program. And he's won at Cincinnati. I mean, I think there's a lot there. I think the ironic thing to me is that everybody's made this big to-do out of, they had to break away from the Wisconsin mold and go out and hire a guy that'll just blow everything up and start over. And well, that's just not the case.
Mm-hmm.
Luke Fickell looks a lot like Barry Alvarez, a lot like Brett Bielema, a lot like Paul Chryst in terms of what he likes to do. I believe he's modernized. I know he's a defensive guy, but he's adopted a little more modern approach offensively because he, unlike Wisconsin, he has used a mobile quarterback, which I think is kind of the hot thing in college football these days. Is with pass rushes being what they are, you better get a mobile quarterback, and he's used that at Cincinnati, so that might be a difference. But other than that, he's a guy that he doesn't. He didn't recruit 4- and 5-star athletes in Cincinnati. He recruited 3-star and a few 4-stars and developed them. Well, that sounds like Wisconsin. He believes in being strong on both lines of scrimmage. Well, that sounds like Wisconsin, and strong and physical. He believes in running the ball. That sounds like Wisconsin. So that's a little bit of the irony. Is he's a lot like the coaches, even though he's from the outside, he's a lot like the coaches Wisconsin has had.
What you talk about what needs to be fixed in Wisconsin. What do you feel needs to be fixed right now with the football program?
Well, I think the recruiting. They need a better approach to recruiting. They need more staff. They need better staff. Chris McIntosh allowing Paul Chryst to go 9 or 10 months without a recruiting staff, to me, is one of the biggest mistakes in the recent history of the Wisconsin football program. And, when Michigan State raided Wisconsin's recruiting staff after Mel Tucker got the job over there, they sat on it through a whole recruiting cycle and didn't have a recruiting staff. And, modern college football in the last 2, 3, 4 years has started moving at warp speed. There's changes and recruiting and nil and recruiting staffs and transfer portal. It's just one change after another. And you can start with recruiting. They need better staff, more money, all of the above. And I think Luke Fickell will bring that. On the field, obviously the offense is broken. And what worked 10 years ago isn't working anymore. And I think a lot of it relates back to the mobile quarterback thing. I think it's become really hard, and I've had college head coaches tell me this. Become really hard to run between the tackles. Well, what does Wisconsin do best? Runs between the tackles. And the thing that can open that up is a quarterback who can stretch the field as a runner horizontally. So I think that's going to be probably the biggest change. But they really need to make some changes on offense, but they also need to make them. They don't need to be. Don Morton made big changes on offense, but he went out and all he wanted was small mobile linemen. Well, now you've just negated your only recruiting advantage if you're Wisconsin, which is the big kids you can get out of Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
So anything they do on offense has to stick to the formula somewhat, because the best recruits Wisconsin can get internally and in its own backyard are big, strong kids. So anything he does on offense has to incorporate that.
Talking with Tom Oates of the Wisconsin State Journal. You can find him at Tom Oates WSJ over on Twitter. So what are now over the next, say, 2-3 years, what are the realistic expectations of this program?
Well, there's going to be some new blood, and that takes time. I think, we've been told that the 19, 20, and 21 recruiting classes were supposedly really good. Those were done by largely by the recruiting staff that went to Michigan State. And those guys should be the heart and soul of the program now. So I think in some cases, at some positions, development has lagged, and Wisconsin's always been a developmental program. And I think in some cases, development has lagged. So they need to jack the recruiting. They need to get back to developing not just some positions, but all positions. And I think Pickle, that's stuff he does. So I don't anticipate that being a problem. Until they get the quarterback thing fixed, I don't see them winning big. And they have to make some kind of change at quarterback, whether it's in the style of quarterback, whether it's in the guy who's starting. I don't know. But they have to get that thing fixed because it really held them back this year against not just the good teams, but the teams on their own level, kind of the middling Big Ten team.
Give me your thoughts on Miles Burkett, because he's a guy that came in with a lot of pomp and circumstance coming out of Franklin, Wisconsin. Is this a kid that in his second year, coming off of his freshman season and kind of absorbing the program, is this the change that they need?
I think Miles Burkett has a future here. I mean, I have no idea what this new staff thinks of him. I did think watching him in high school, I thought he was mobile. I thought he was resourceful and had a decent enough arm. Franklin also listed him at 6'2", which when I stood next to him, I realized that maybe they've been fudging that by 2 or 3 inches.
Right.
But, I certainly think I have to believe he's in the mix because he does give them added mobility that they haven't had at all. And having watched him at Franklin, I thought he had some moxie and he was a winner. He kind of did what it took to win. If it was run, if it was pass, if it was make big plays at key times, he always seemed to do what was needed. And I don't know if he's the answer. I certainly think he'll be looked at as potentially the answer, which is, then it's up to him. He has to make it happen.
Hey, before I let you go, I want to switch gears on you real quick. The Packers season has not gone, obviously, the way we wanted it to. Give me your thoughts, excuse me, as to, first of all, Jordan Love getting playing time here at the end of the season, yay or nay, and then obviously what's to come in this offseason, just a little bit of a preview.
Well, if I'm the Packers, I'm playing Aaron Rodgers until we're out of it. And that would be my suggestion to them. At such point as they are eliminated, I don't see any reason to play an injured Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's battled through the thumb for 2 months, and now he's got the rib injury. That won't be fun to play with. You'll see that big flak jacket thing, I would guess. But as long as you're alive, and alive is really a stretch at this point for them for the playoffs. I think you have to play Aaron Rodgers, but if not, I think maybe you just put him on injured reserve and turn it over to Jordan Love and see what you have for a few games. I mean, like I said, if Aaron Rodgers was completely healthy, then I see no reason, but he's not completely healthy, and maybe it's time to stop putting him out there. But I still think you need to put out your best quarterback if you have a chance.
Oates, always a good time to talk to you, pal. I appreciate it, and thanks for some of the insight and some of your thoughts on all of this. You've been around a long time. You've seen a lot of changes, and it's good to pick your brain, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for calling me old, Bill.
I remember the same days. I'm right there with you, man. I appreciate it, though.
All right, Bill.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon. There you go. Tom Oates, the great Tom Oates from the Wisconsin State Journal. Go to Tom Oates, WSJ, over on Twitter. Tom Oates, WSJ. Good to have him on board. He's always good. He's always good. Always good to get him on and pick his brain a little bit. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. When it comes to Jordan Love, a specific player had some nice praise for Jordan Love. I'll tell you who that is and what was said when we come back. Stay tuned for that. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Kunis Automotive. Kunis RV. Go to Kunis, Kunes, KunisRV.com. If you are right now looking for a new RV, fifth wheel, camper van, tow behind, whatever it happens to be, they've got it. You can track them down. Go to Kunis RV, Kunes, KunisRV.com. And if you've noticed around the state as you drive around on 43 and 94, wherever it is you're going, you can look and you can kind of see them off to the side of many of the highways. And their dealerships, as they continue to acquire more and more and more, one, their buying power continues to grow, which means they have more selection and better prices. And secondly, they continue to remodel many of these places. And if you've got a camper person in your life for Christmas, they have all kinds of cool stuff in the showroom. Stop in and see for yourself. Go to Kunis, Kunes, KunisRV.com. That is KunisRV.com.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
It's that time of year. You're going to be heading out to some holiday parties. Maybe the family's getting together. Maybe they're coming to your house, or maybe you're heading to theirs, and you don't want to walk in empty-handed. So you check out the bottles of wine that you maybe want to bring with you for whatever feast you're about to sit down to. Don't forget about our friends local right here in the state of Wisconsin. That's ForgottenFireWinery.com. ForgottenFireWinery.com up in Peshtigo, Wisconsin. And if you're going to go to a grocery store, liquor store, wine store, ask for it by name. Ask for it by name. I was in Woodman's the other day, and I asked for a couple of them. And sure enough, they had the Moscato in there, left over from the summer. So it was good stuff. I appreciated that. But if you're up in the Peshtigo area, stop into the winery and stop by and say, hey, I'm here to get a tasting and see what I like and don't like. And man, some of those ciders this time of year, oh, so good. So good. Check out our friends at ForgottenFireWinery.com. That is ForgottenFireWinery.com. Good stuff. By the way, Aaron Rodgers, you can hear Matt LaFleur coming up here in just a little bit, but Aaron Rodgers, as Matt LaFleur stated earlier, he expects him to play this Sunday, although he is not practicing today. He is not practicing today. Just an FYI. So there you have it. The Eagles, they beat the Packers 40-33, going back to last week, but the Packers came away with a little bit of a moral victory, I guess, in the way that Jordan Love played. So the 4-time Pro Bowl cornerback, Darius Slay, who has faced Aaron Rodgers now 13 times, talked about Jordan Love. And take a listen to what he had to say.
As the game is going, guys, I see that A-Rod was running into the locker. You know, he'll put a word out there saying he'd been playing with a thumb injury since the Giants game. So I saw him running in the tunnel. I'm saying, what's going on with A-Rod? He must have messed it up. You know, so as a defense, when A-Rod goes out, we feel great. You know what I'm saying? That's the greatest quarterback ever. So if he goes out, we got to go out here and really get at him. You know, the D-line get a little hungrier because they be like, okay, got a young buck coming in. I can go get out to the quarterback because, you know, A-Rod makes a lot of checks and a lot of communication at the line of scrimmage. That's hard to sack. So young buck come in. Actually did a very, very solid job, man. Green Bay got a bright future, like a bright one. Because Buddy was slinging it. I ain't gonna lie, like he low-key looked like A-Rod, like he been learning a lot. It should be a blessing for him to be behind a GOAT and learning like that at a high level. And he's a talented kid as well. Like he's a first-round draft pick. So he got a lot of talent, you know. He's got to wait his time, just like how A-Rod waited his time for Brett Favre. You know, so now he's waiting his time. So his time gonna come. And you can see, like, the gunslinging mentality he has, just like him. Like they with the quick release, the flick and the picking the back leg up, he's copying and pasting him for sure. Which that's a great player to be copying and pasting from.
There you go. That's Darius Slay. It's on his podcast, the Big Play Slay podcast, and he said, "Hey, bright future." So kudos to Jordan Love for opening a few eyes and saying, "Yeah, this guy could be real. Guy could be real." But a nice amount of praise for Jordan Love. Good stuff.
It's also, Bill, not as if the Eagles were playing completely prevent in that spot.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've heard that tossed out there. That was still a game. It was a one-possession game for a good amount of it. The defense just couldn't get off the field.
Yep. Neither defense played great in that ball game. But I agree. And, you wonder, had it not been for, the tipped ball into the air that gets picked off, what would have happened there if the Packers were able to move the ball and that tremendous return from Keyshawn Nixon, a couple of plays here and there, would that game have turned out different? Which also in a lot of ways gives, Packers fans a little bit of hope that maybe, they still have a shot, a legitimate shot, a mathematical equation shot of possibly getting into the postseason. And if you do, as we were asked before, what happens if they get in? Well, if they get in, that means they won out. That means they're one of the hottest teams in football going into the postseason. That means that things have started to click. That means maybe the defense has learned how to tackle. That means maybe the offense is starting to be able to throw the ball, stretching the field. And Romeo Doubs comes back and looks good. And they become complementary between Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. And then you throw in, Randall Cobb and his veteran experience, and they start using the tight. I mean, maybe things click. it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I think we all sit here today and go, oh, that'd be great. That'd be great. If we, going through that schedule like I went through a little bit earlier, if the Falcons can get knocked off, and obviously you're going to have somebody's going to win unless they end up with a tie between the Washington Commanders and Giants this weekend. But, then you start to hope that the Seahawks get beat by the Rams and maybe give the Packers a little breathing room. Same thing with the Buccaneers getting beat by the Saints. And you don't have the Cardinals playing this weekend. You don't have to worry about them. And, you start to go through that list and think, well, maybe things can happen. Maybe it's going to be possible. It's not out of the realm of possibility. And you breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief for yet another week and see what happens. But
the Packers did have a short field on like every drive though, because Keyshawn Nixon was taking every kickoff back 50 yards. There was the turnover on downs, the fumble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where like all their drives were like 30, 40 yards.
Right. They the defense, I mean, if you go back to the Joe Barry defense in the argument where Matt LaFleur yesterday or on Monday is going, well, they did have some successes. Had the defense been able to get off the field at all and been able to spy Jalen Hurts at all, be unable to tackle at all, this might have been a different outcome. As much as we want to look at the offense and go, yeah, they were at fault, and they were on a few of those drives. They were. But that defense just, was like, did anybody have any hope at all? When the Packers scored, they brought it to within a touchdown. Did anybody have any realistic hope of that defense getting any kind of a stop, getting off the field and doing any kind of damage, short of maybe an errant pass or punching the ball out for a fumble? Did anybody have any hope that the Green Bay Packers were going to be able to get the ball back and win that game? I don't think anybody did. I think everybody just said, oh, that's great. They're only a score away. Oh, crap. Here comes the defense. And I think we all looked at it that way. I think every one of us went, oh yeah. Okay. That's it.
I wanted them to just get off the field so I could see more of Love.
Yeah, well, what will we be talking about today had the defense got a stop and Jordan Love then hits Watson or, Robert Tonyan or Aaron Jones out of the backfield, dropping one in the bucket for a tying and maybe go ahead touchdown and score? And they come back and win. What would today's conversation be?
People would have to mute my microphone,
right?
Which I guess is somewhat impossible.
877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, we got Matt LaFleur coming up. We're going to play it. We're not going to stop, but you get a chance to hear a lot of the cliche speak and overwhelming monotone of what is and isn't being spewed in 1265. Right. We got a lot more coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Cool weather, brisk winds, and a hot deal. Hi, this is Gina Della from Pella. Is your home ready for winter weather? Don't wait. Right now, put no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 2 years. When it's cold outside, thanks to Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, you'll be warm and toasty inside. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin can be installed in as little as a day with little to no disruption to your family or your home. Plus, you'll get expert advice from our Pella specialists, professional installation by Pella's certified installers, and the excellent service our customers have come to expect. And Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin has products and warranty offers you won't find anywhere else. Don't wait for the heating bills to start piling up. Right now, put no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 2 years at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Expires 11/30/2022. Certain exclusions and restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. You want to hit us up, do so. Kind of remind you that we've got a lot of different stuff coming up. We've got the huddle coming up tonight. We're going to be at Kelly's Bleachers right on Blue Mound Road. So come on out. 6 to 8 tonight. It's all brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. Then coming up on Sunday, we are also going to be on the road. We're going to have the Green and Gold postgame show is going to be coming to you live from down at the Sheridan Grand Riverwalk in Chicago inside the Shy Bar. So that's coming up as well. So we got a lot of good stuff coming up. 877-867-1670. Got some emails I want to get to as well. This one is from Dennis, who talks about the misguided loyalty of Matt LaFleur. LaFleur's mental makeup is that he chooses empathy for his incompetent coordinators and apathy towards his players. This year under Barry, the players' morale is low, and their effort is the same because they have no respect for him. His scheme is play calling. Because of the lack of respect and the poor effort, the defense is awful. The press and the social media beat up Barry and the players. The players look to LaFleur to come to the rescue. Instead, seeing the real problem and solving it, LaFleur piles on, making things worse by fully supporting Barry and blaming the players. It's mind-boggling. Last season, the special teams under Mo Drayton, the players' morale was low, and so was their effort. The players' special teams was an embarrassment. The press and the social media beat up Mo Drayton, the unit, and mostly Mason Crosby. Once again, LaFleur never came to the rescue and made things worse by supporting Mo Drayton and blaming the players. For all of you to put that much of the blame on the players, you need to wake up and see that the resurgence of Mason Crosby and what he's capable of doing, it wasn't him. It was the process. Did it happen by any chance? Did he just try harder, or is he just lucky? No, he's been a professional the entire time. It's always been the coaching. He said, I'm not a fan of LaFleur because of his misguided, naive, and unprofessional blind loyalty to coaches over players and his inability and unwillingness to see the obvious and player morale problems and to solve them is inexcusable and unacceptable. There you go. We see a Super Bowl quality team, he says, destroyed by incompetent coordinators, supported by a spineless, misguided head coach. That is from Dennis. Dennis, appreciate it. And that's a there's not a lot there I can argue with. Can't argue with a lot of that. I'll tell you that. This is Jake. Jake says, hey, Bill, I'll see you at the Shy Bar. Got my reservation. Jake, good for you. He said, do you think that Aaron Rodgers is still going to own the Chicago Bears? I know a lot of fans down in Chicago are looking to scream at him when he comes out onto the field. He says, I think that the Chicago fans are drooling over the opportunity to finally start beating up on the Green Bay Packers. Justin Fields probably not going to play in this game, but the future looks bright for them while the future looks very bleak for us. Can Jordan Love compete on the same stage as Justin Fields? Well, they're two different style of quarterbacks. Jordan Love is not a running quarterback. You know, he's not a Randall Cunningham-esque style quarterback. He's more of he can move, but he's more of the pocket passer, the traditional style of quarterback than Justin. Justin Fields can tuck it and go. And there's quite a few of those now that are in the National Football League. But you ask almost any quarterback, and they'll tell you they'd much rather be able to stand in the pocket, have good protection, and then on top of it, be able to have receivers that are capable of, catching passes and, opening up, throwing lanes. So I think every quarterback, are there quarterbacks out there that, can compete with a guy like Justin Fields? Absolutely. But when it comes to Jordan Love's place in the division, Kirk Cousins is not a running quarterback. Neither is Jared Goff. I think it's kind of an in-between for Jordan Love. He can stand in the pocket, but he's mobile enough to get outside of the pocket should he need to do so. But you're not concerned about playing the game of another quarterback. You play the game of what your philosophy is. You play the game of what the plays are that are called. You play the game to the personnel you have. Justin Fields, I'm sure, would much rather not have to work with his feet, but more so work with his arm. First of all, you get more recognition and you don't take a beating, and he's taking a beating. I mean, look at him now. I mean, the guy's already got a torn up shoulder. Now, it's not his throwing shoulder. For the Bears fans, they're saying, thank God. But the guy's got a torn up shoulder because of the hits that he takes because of the offense they have or don't have, more so, if you want to say. Yeah, running quarterbacks in this league, they wow us. They make us talk about them and their athleticism and their dynamic ability. And, and same thing with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, I'm sure that every time he takes off and runs, every Philadelphia head coach or every Philadelphia coach, including the head coach or fan for that matter, is probably holding their breath that could be the last time he runs the football if he takes a shot in just the right way. So I don't think anybody wants a running quarterback. It just opens you up to too much liability as far as hits and detrimental hits go. Ben, correct me if I'm wrong. Every time you see Jalen Hurts take off, it's great to watch him run, but you're praying to God he goes down and slides before somebody cleans his clock, right?
Nah, I wouldn't know. I'm kidding. Yes, definitely to an extent. I will say the really good ones, like Hurts, he took some big shots from the Packers on Sunday, but he is very good at avoiding all contact, and he's also built like a runner, where if Lamar Jackson takes the hits that Hurts does, his body won't hold up well enough against them. But some of the best are good at also avoiding the contact.
Yeah, you look at a guy, you look at all the different quarterbacks that have been banged up, because you go all the way back through history when Randall Cunningham was doing it, was leaping and spinning and turning and keeping his balance and hand to the ground and propping himself up. I mean, it was great to watch, but eventually his career was cut short because of all the beatings he took. Justin Fields is going to go through the same thing eventually. You're right. Trey Lance got hurt running the football. You love these quarterbacks. I mean, we saw Lamar Jackson a couple years ago, lost a season for running the football. So you don't want to see your quarterbacks doing it if you don't have to. And there's no reason to say that Jordan Love, should he be the guy to eventually take it over, there's no reason to have Jordan Love try to compete in that facet. No reason to. 877-867-1670. Hey, coming up after the top of the hour, we're going to have Matt LaFleur and some of his comments today at the podium, so you can hear more of that. And we got that coming up. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers not practicing today. He's going to have the day off, but he'll be back at it soon enough. And we'll be playing, as Matt LaFleur put it, this weekend. So for those that were thinking about whether or not he would or wouldn't play, he is. He made it clear yesterday on the Pat McAfee show. The head coach made it clear today that he will be, the starter down in Chicago. So there you have it. He will have the opportunity to say once again, I own you. All right, let's do this. We'll step away. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. A whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. Don't go anywhere. We still got an hour and 15 minutes yet to happen. We'll be back right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
Week 13 and the Packers getting ready to face the Bears Sunday in Chicago. Both teams have their bye next week. The Bears are pretty banged up after their loss to the Jets in New York Sunday. Wide receiver Darnell Mooney and veteran safety Eddie Jackson both placed on season-ending IR yesterday. Tight end Cole Kmet on just how physical that game was.
So we got our ass kicked, honestly. Down some numbers, but yeah, just got our ass kicked up front, honestly. I think that's just kind of what it was, and they just played way better than we did.
Aaron Rodgers was concerned if he suffered a rib injury Sunday night against the Eagles that could puncture a lung. Rodgers, on the McAfee show, was asked what did the MRI show.
Well, we're not eliminated. I got good news with the scans yesterday, so I plan on playing this week.
The Packers waived former Raiders safety Jonathan Abram after just 3 weeks in Green Bay and signed Innis Gaines to the roster from the practice squad. Gaines is an undrafted safety from TCU who worked out daily and to make ends meet, delivered for DoorDash in Beaumont, Texas, while he waited to get a call from the NFL.
I couldn't get like a normal job and still work out how I wanted to because any day you get the call for somebody to come work out. So it's like I can't be the job working out and try to get workout and try to have family time. So I was like, I'll just work out and do DoorDash to make money, make ends meet. Yeah, because you get your own schedule basically. Like you work when you want to work, so I'll work out, and then get time to do DoorDash, do a couple hours of that, and do a couple hours in the evening, and then hang out with my family and stuff. So try to make things to eat. So that was perfect, really, where you work your own hours. So that was fun.
Do you prefer this or DoorDash?
Oh yeah, football for sure. Football for sure. I don't mind clocking in every day. That's not an issue.
That's Packers safety Innis Gaines. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Welcome back. Good to have you. Hey, don't forget the Connecticut water softening system. I've been telling you about this for a while now, and by far the best. By far the best water softening system out there, whether it's just keeping the calcium deposits off of the shower head, cleaner clothes, less detergents needed because it's a cleaner water, or just the drinking water, the reverse osmosis. It's all fantastic. And I get mine at the Water Doctors. H2, the letter O, doctors.com, H2ODoctors.com. Call John Atlee directly, 262-549-7733. Say, John, heard about it on the Bill Michaels Show. Tell me about the water softening system. If you're just tired of the system you have, if you want to rent a system, if you have a new home build, maybe you're doing some renovating, you want to upgrade, or you just want better tasting water because you're going to get healthy in 2023, go to the Water Doctors, H2, the letter O, doctors.com, or call them 262-549-7733, 262-549-7733. And if he's not in your area, that's okay. He'll hook you up with the Connecticut water softening company that is there in your area for sure. So he'll get you all hooked up. But I love that Connecticut water softening system. Love it. Excuse me. 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free. Also, some emails to get to. This is from Jimmy. Jimmy says, hey, Bill, the Packers' chances of going to a Super Bowl are nil. So why not go ahead and sit Rodgers and not risk injury? We don't want him banged up next year, so you can trade him away, or he can play for the Green Bay Packers. I think you run Love out there, see what he has. Even though the Packers already know what he can do, let the fans see what we've been missing behind closed doors. You don't play a player because the fans want him. Let me just say that, okay? I'm not disagreeing with you. You want Rodgers healthy for two reasons. One, you don't want the damage in case he does go down with an ACL, an MCL, or a collarbone, okay? You don't want him rehabbing that going into next season as far as trade possibilities go. And you do want to see, as a fan, you want to see Jordan Love, but I think the Packers probably want to see another shot at him, playing in another NFL game or two. Look, he's going to get that shot. He's going to get that chance. I don't think there's any doubt about it. I mean, unless the Packers, everything starts to fall the Packers' way, unless everything really starts to head in their direction. Okay. Suddenly teams start losing. The Packers get a win over the Bears. Then they get a win over the Rams. God knows if they're still mathematically in it, going to Miami, one of the best teams in the AFC right now. If they go to Miami, and by the way, Miami, their next 6 games, 5 of their next 6 games, they're playing teams over 500. The only game against a team under 500 is the Green Bay Packers. So you've got 4 or 5 games remaining: the Bears, the Rams, the Dolphins, and it's the Vikings and the Lions. If you get to that Dolphins game, you're going to play Rodgers the remainder of the way as long as you're mathematically alive. Because at that point in time, you would be, because you lost to the Titans in somewhat of a hard-fought game, but you got your ass kicked in the trenches, which came off of the Cowboys game when everybody suddenly had hope. Like, wait a minute, this team's alive. And then you came back to life, even though you came up short against the Eagles. So if you go down and you really put a whooping on the Bears and the Rams come to town, the Rams have all but packed it in. The Rams are a terrible football team. And as far as their defending, they got their championship. They lost some key pieces, and now it is what it is, right? So the Rams are dead in the water. If by chance you're still alive and you can knock off the Dolphins, at some point you're going to see Jordan Love, whether it's against Miami, Minnesota, or the Lions. I got a feeling over the next couple of games that you're probably going to see Aaron Rodgers starting, especially if he doesn't take a lot of hits. Let's get back to the phone calls. Let's talk to Court, listening to us in Whitewater. Court, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Hey, big guy, thanks for taking my call. I've been listening the last couple of days, and it kind of piggybacking a lot of things. But about the Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers thing, I think for a couple of reasons, we got to get a look at Love. For one, our draft pick is going to be pretty high this year if things don't pan out the way they look. And two, you got to know if you got something in them, because one, either you're going to be drafting a quarterback, or two, you're going to be signing a player for a $20+ million contract for a probably 3-4 year extension. And before you want to do that, I would think you got to know if this kid can play or not.
No, I would agree with that. I mean, you're going to see, what you've got behind closed doors. I don't think that they're going into this with their eyes completely shut. I think they know what they have. I think you just need to see him in a couple of pieces of game situation, and as to whether or not he's gotten better, dramatically better, mediocre better. I think he looks better, but I would love to see him get a game or two. I would personally, if the Packers are eliminated, I'd love to see him play in back-to-back games against the Dolphins and the Vikings, against 2 good teams and one team that wants to beat the hell out of you in the Vikings. I want to see him play in those games before I make a decision completely as to whether or not Jordan Love is capable of doing the deed,
I agree 100%. And if things, like I said, don't quite fall the way I think they're going to fall, which isn't going to be a good season, they're going to be sitting on a pretty high draft pick, and they got to decide what they're going to do with that, because there's some need besides the quarterback on that team as well.
Yeah. Yep. No, I completely agree. Yeah, I think you still got to take a look at him. I appreciate the phone call. You still got to take a look at him. But if you don't, if you don't get a look at Jordan Love, which I'm almost guaranteed that you will, if you don't, at some point, if you don't get a look at Jordan Love, don't think that Gutekunst, Matt LaFleur, everybody behind closed doors doesn't know what they have. I don't think you have another Hall of Famer. I think you've got a quarterback who can maybe be a placeholder, who maybe can excel, maybe be above average, but to find back-to-back Hall of Fame quarterbacks, I think that's few and far between. But I will say, just from what we've seen this year, we've seen a better Jordan Love. I think we could all agree upon that. Again, coming up after the top of the hour, you're going to hear from Matt LaFleur as they get ready. It's Bears week. I mean, I hate to use the cliche of throw the record books out the window, but this year, who cares? Who cares about the records? Now, let's look at it this way. God forbid the Packers lose this one. Right? I mean, most of us are thinking, you know what? No Justin Fields. Packers they don't have much of a defense. They've got their wide receiver, their safety, both have been put on IR. That team's really banged up. They're ailing. So, it's probably not going to be much of a game, right? Probably not going to be much of a game. Packers should go in. They may not win handily like they have in the past, but they should win this game. God forbid they lose. God forbid they lose. Oof, I can't imagine what the phone calls are going to be coming up on Sunday afternoon during the Green and Gold postgame show and on Monday if the Packers should lose this game. Oof. Brandon says, all I want to know is what in the blazes they are going to do with this defense. Apparently, to Matt LaFleur, you're only upset about it because of one game. It's just one game. It's because of a game. He's got to answer these questions because of a game. You're right. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. The head coach of the Green Bay Packers on a Wednesday, a practice day. You're going to hear from him. And then we got a lot more coming up. We're not done. We got another hour yet to go. Stay tuned. This portion of the program brought to you by our good friends at Stenny's, Second and National, Walker's Point. If you're going to look for a shuttle ride, whether it's to a Bucs game, Packers game, Marquette, Admirals, once the Brewers get going again, whatever it happens to be, make it your destination. Stenny's, Second and National, Walker's Point, downtown Milwaukee. Milwaukee's best sports bar. Stop in. You should be here. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next. Welcome. Good to have you. The Bill Michaels Show on the air on this Wednesday. Don't forget, coming up tonight, we're going to be at Kelly's Bleachers. Kelly's Bleachers on Blue Mound. On Blue Mound this time. Kelly's Bleachers on Blue Mound, right up the street from American Family Field. So come on by. 6 to 8 tonight. 6 to 8 tonight. Going to be a good one. Come on by. Matt LaFleur spoke to the media just a little while ago, and as today is the beginning of practice and Bears week. Take a listen to what the head coach had to say.
How are you? Is it afternoon?
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon. It's week 13. I'll bet you got some players that are pretty sore just to try and get through an NFL season. How important is it, though, that the 38-year-old quarterback says, I still want to play?
Oh, I think that, yeah, well, it just speaks to
how competitive he is, and how much he's invested into this game, this team, and regardless of circumstances. And that's what we kind of talk about our team all the time is competitive greatness, being your best when your best is required, regardless of the circumstance. And that's one thing you can always expect from him.
Did you practice at all this week?
Well, we'll take it one day at a time, but I would anticipate yes.
But not today.
But not today.
Now, what's been the biggest change in Christian's game that's allowed him to do what he's done besides just being able to stay on the field?
Well, I think if you look at it, and it's just getting the experience, getting the reps in practice and in the games. I think anytime you have a young player and they miss basically an entire preseason, they miss all the games, all the practices, there's going to be a learning curve. And I think you've seen it. You saw it with a lot of our guys the COVID year when we had no preseason games. And his was even compounded, I would say, because he couldn't practice. And yes, we did have an off-season program, but it's you have to get in there and get into the flow and get into the flow of a game. And there's things that come up in a game that you try to prepare for everything, but inevitably people game plan and people make adjustments. And that's one of the great things about our game is there's a lot of smart coaches out there that can game plan and try to give you a different look. And I think until you get in those situations, I think it's just all about the experience and the reps.
What did Ennis Gaines show you over the last, 6 weeks or since he came back to get a spot in 53?
Who?
Ennis.
Oh, Thump.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Wow.
I had no idea what you said there. Yeah, we call him Thump, in case you were wondering. No, I think Thump is a guy that, he's been around here for quite a while now. And I think anytime you watch him, he always competes at the best of his ability. He's got really great speed and physicality. And, we're excited about him in terms of what he can bring, especially to teams. But I also think that there's a future for him, hopefully. And if he continues to show the growth, he possesses the athleticism that you look for. And he definitely has that contact courage, and he's not afraid to throw his face in the fire, so to speak. And but he's got a great energy about him. And I think just the more he gets, in there playing, the more comfortable he'll get and the better he'll be.
Where you're at in the season, are you guys at a point where you want to start seeing more from younger players and more focus on developing what you have there, finding out what you have there on the roster?
Well, I think we're always trying to develop and try to look for opportunities to get some guys in there that you might not know about. But I think right now the focus is 100% on winning this football game and doing whatever it takes. And that's always going to be the focus in my mind. So I know I'm not really answering your question, but appreciate the question, Ryan.
I guess it's still uncertain whether Justin will play Sunday for the Bears, but just how does he, when you look at his recent games on film, how has he kind of developed since the last few times you've seen him?
Well, I think, first of all, I think Luke Getzey has done an unbelievable job, and it's not just him. Guys like Chris Morgan, their O-line coach, and you guys know how I feel about Luke. I think he is as bright as they come in this business, and I think he's definitely going to be standing up and talking in front of everybody as a head coach here, probably sooner than later. But I think they've done an outstanding job of just playing to his strengths. I think the guys around him are playing at a high level. I think, he's such a threat at all times with the ball in his hands. And he's an exceptional athlete that is capable of breaking tackles and or making him miss. And, I think obviously adding a guy like Claypool's been big for him too, although I know he doesn't have necessarily the production, but just having more players that are around you that have played at a high level, I think, that tends to lead to better success for the quarterback. So I think it's really everybody involved over there have done a really nice job. And I think their offensive line is vastly improved, I think, over the course of the season.
Differently without Smith and Quinn in the mix schematically?
Maybe a little bit, but obviously those are two great players that are very hard to replace. But I don't think that. I think their scheme, what they do very well in terms of, there's not a lot of coverage busts or busts on tape. Guys play their responsibilities, and they play with relentless effort, and they do all the little things the right way in terms of how they attack the football. Punch, hammer, rake. They do as good as anybody.
How much does the Bears' uncertainty at quarterback affect your game planning and preparation in general, especially with two different styles of quarterback?
Yeah, I think we'd be foolish not to plan for Justin, because if you don't, you will get gutted. And he's just that quarterback run game they have is pretty spectacular, and it doesn't even always show up just in the run game, but even on his ability to drop back, and if nothing's there, to pull it down and find a window and or an escape lane and make it pay in that regard. So I think we're going to have everybody in tune on the same page, and you can't give this guy a sliver of light, otherwise he will make you pay.
So do you just figure you'll prepare for Fields and adjust if it's different on the fly, kind of? Or
well, I think I would say the majority of your plan is directed toward him being in there. I think obviously with him not playing last week, that's another week to get healthy and rest. So, it's a guessing game, but I think you got to hedge your bet in that area.
With the way Hurts was sort of able to run on Sunday, does that force you to change your approach to prepare for how you prepare for Justin?
I think you got to look at yourself critically and see if that plan worked or not. The bottom line is, no matter what we have called, we have got to tackle first and foremost. And if you miss 22 tackles or whatever we had charted, that's what we had, then it's going to be a long day. So we're going to have to get multiple hats at the ball, because it's not only Justin Fields. They've got tremendous running backs as well. So I think it's collectively as a unit, you got to have multiple hats at the ball, and you got to do a great job of not only grabbing cloth or finding ways to get a guy in the grass, whether it's a knife tackle or what we call a roll tackle. You got to have a great tackling plan, and you got to have guys. We got to own our leverage and know how to leverage the ball and where your help is at, instead of over pursuing maybe and allowing a cutback lane and then there's nobody there. So if your leverage is to your right, you better stay inside out on the ball carrier and let your help be to your right.
Tell me if I'm wrong, but earlier in the season, you guys didn't struggle with tackling.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, yeah, I'd say yes.
Where do you think that came from Sunday night? Because I know the Eagles played well, but you guys have done well against Josh Allen. Just had a good game against Derrick Henry. Where do you think the poor tackling came from?
Yeah, that's again, I think it's all of that I just talked about in terms of making sure that we own our leverage and have people help you if you can't get a guy on the ground. So certainly that's going to be a main point of emphasis all week in that regard, to make sure that we do just that.
I guess what I'm wondering, that wasn't an issue much earlier in the season. Now it is now. So did something change for that to regress?
Your guess is as good as mine, because it's not like, the tricky part I would say in this league is I have never been a part of a team that's tackled in season. I mean, you do drills every day to address that so that you don't take a step back. But unfortunately, and sometimes you got to give credit to whoever your opposition is. I mean, that's a good football team. And they've got guys that can make you miss and can hurt you. But to miss that many, I just, it was obviously very disappointing. And that's, again, you get what you emphasize. And so we got to make a strong emphasis in that regard. And I just think that you got to have more hats at the ball too. And in case somebody does miss a tackle, that there's somebody there to clean it up.
Man, just to clarify, is your expectation that Rodgers will play Sunday?
Yes.
That's good.
All right,
There
guys.
you
Have a good
go.
one.
That's it. That's Matt LaFleur. And a lot of questions about the defense, about the preparation for Justin Fields, about the tackling. As he said there at the end, after finally just getting questioned about it. And he counted 22 missed tackles. Now, I didn't go back and count them. After you get past 13, 14, you're just like, out of hell with it. It's pretty much done. But he said he's never been a part of a team that tackles in season. Never been a part of a team that tackles in season. I'm not to sit here to say it's wrong to tackle in season, because a lot of teams don't do it. They don't risk injury in season. So I understand that. Okay. But when you have a team that's this poor consistently, if you can sit there and say, I've never been a part of a team that tackles in season. Okay. I can go along with that. There's a lot of teams that don't. But why do other teams have the ability consistently to do it? And it seems like we're constantly questioning this team as the season winds on, why they can't. That's what I want to know, because tackling is a tenacity. It is a will. It is a want to. And that's what, so, okay, well, I've never been a part of a team that practices tackling in season. All right. Why do other teams, why can they be good at it? And why is your team not? So if you're not practicing in season, okay, I'll give you that. Nobody does. All right. What then makes other teams better than you? Why are you the second to last team in the National Football League when it comes to defending the run? Why are you middle of the pack or in the lower third when it comes to overall yardage, points per game, and the inability to consistently tackle? Why? And his answer was, did you hear it? Your guess is as good as mine. What? You're the guy that's supposed to know. You're not guessing. That, and again, you look, we nitpick things that he says, but you just wish there was this modicum of honesty to where you just say, you know what? Either one, we don't have guys in this team that really want to tackle. We have guys in this team that are worried more about getting injured than we are about actually tackling a ball carrier, putting up the statistics, getting better at their craft. Or you wish he'd look at the camera or the reporter, whomever, and say, we got a defensive coordinator that wants him to play soft. We've got a philosophy that says, play back, keep everything in front of you, just hang on. Every time I hear Matt LaFleur speak, and it starts to get into the reasonings and the whys, the one, twos, and the wherefores, I become more and more convinced he is pretty good offensively, knows his stuff, but when it comes to being a motivator of men, there is something lacking there. Because if you're not motivating your coaches aren't motivating your players. And if you don't look at your coach and go, if this stuff doesn't get cleaned up, I'll find somebody who can clean it up for me. I know they're all your friends. I know they're all your buddies. I know you work closely together. But damn it, you're a leader, man. You're the leader of this group. So every time I hear it, I'm just kind of like, wow. A little bit more and more and more amazed. Hey, don't forget about our friends at Wabam. Go to getwabam.com. Getwabam.com. All your cleaning products, cleaning supplies, whether it's janitorial for your home use, or maybe you're just a car, a boat, or a motorcycle person. You want to use some of the ceramics and the polishes. They've got it all. Go to getwabam.com. Getwabam, W-A-B-A-M, getwabam.com.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
One of the worst things that you can hear
you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others, time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or a pirate ship or a sports-themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine, a place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. Bill Michaels Show continuing on. A reminder, coming up tonight, we're going to be on the road, brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. We're going to be at Kelly's Bleachers on Blue Mound, 6 to 8 tonight. Come on by and say hi. And then coming up on Sunday, the Green and Gold Postgame Show live down in Chicago. The Sheridan Hotel Riverwalk. We're going to be inside the Shy Bar. So if you want to come by and say hello, you can do that as well. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free. Phone lines wide open after what you heard coming out of Green Bay. The Packers. Look, and this is from Letang, I believe, says that the Green Bay Packers playing the Chicago Bears. It doesn't matter what the records are. These are two teams that hate each other and fan bases that can't stand one another. You're playing for bragging rights. Let's not forget about that. Correct. 100%. 100%. I don't disagree with that at all. I mean, obviously you want to be, mathematically still playing for something, but 100% agree. 100% agree. No denying that. Oh, by the way, with nearly all of the more than 24 lawsuits filed against Deshaun Watson, they've been pretty much settled. Most of the women who accused the Cleveland quarterback of sexual misconduct, they have no interest in his return to Houston on Sunday, according to their attorney, which Tony Busby. I don't know why you have to come out and make a statement about this. Like they're going to get a section. He said some of the clients did ask to go to the game, to be there on display. They thought it important to make it clear that they're still here and that they matter. He said some of the women really want to attend the game, but I guess, you have to hold a press conference to say that the majority of them don't want to go, but there's a few that do. Maybe they just want to go see their team. But his return will be in Houston. That'll be one of the bigger storylines, I guess, going into the weekend when you start to talk about the NFL. We'll talk about all the picks and such coming up tonight on the huddle tonight. But that's one of the other storylines that the Houston Texans are going to be hosting the Cleveland Browns this weekend, and it is Deshaun Watson's return to Houston. But that's a sideline, so to speak. Some of the better games, there's actually, with the Jets going into U.S. Bank Stadium to take on the Vikings and the Jets doing what they did in the defensive front to the Packers, I'm really interested to see what the Jets do with Kirk Cousins and what they do with Dalvin Cook and company, and if they're able to shut down that run. Obviously, the Lions, who have played so hard, they've got an easier Jaguar schedule coming up this weekend. Thursday night game is a good one with the Bills on the road in New England. So you've got that game to pay attention to. Dolphins on the road. That's in San Francisco. Another good game to watch coming up this weekend. Ben, obviously, you're going to be paying attention to your Eagles as they host a really tough Tennessee team. That's gritty. And then you've just came off. Well, they're gritty. I mean, they're just coming off of a loss to Cincinnati. They went toe to toe with Cincinnati, even though Cincinnati didn't have Jamar Chase. They still
I won't be paying attention.
You're not paying attention? Why?
Oh, it's conference championship weekend, Bill.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but that's on Saturday.
Yeah, so Sunday I decide to sleep.
You got a good Cincinnati. The rematch of the AFC Championship, and still with the way Cincinnati started their season and have climbed back into this thing and the return of Jamar Chase, Cincinnati now back at 7-4. And they're still, because obviously they're going to be looking over the fence for earlier that day because the Broncos are going into Baltimore to take on the Ravens. The Ravens also 7-4. So Cincinnati, after starting off so horrifically, is now back in it. Because for a while we were thinking, okay, the loser of the Super Bowl, in a lot of historical cases, don't even make it back to the postseason. Well, now Cincinnati's not only back in the postseason, they're looking to take the top spot in the division if they get a win over the Chiefs, and then they could take a little bit of a head-to-head bragging rights should it end up coming down to best record for a home field advantage. So Cincinnati. Oh my God. The stream of constant Chinese porn is amazing. Just thrown in there for good measure. There you go.
No, you're talking about the NFL slate,
Right. Oh, my goodness. So there's a lot of good games on the docket this weekend, is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of good games.
Oh, my God. I try to look at the bright side. I try to bring the positive. I try to bring the energy and the spirit. And it goes right down the crapper. Oh, good God. Tidbit said it was a fantastic hump day show until you said they were going to hear from LaFleur. I just feel used, cheap, and dirty after listening to LaFleur and poking toothpicks in my eyes. Oh,
I back to LaFleur really quickly.
Yeah.
I just cannot get over when he starts talking about which quarterback they're going to plan for. It's like, yeah, we'll definitely plan for Justin. It's like, okay, I hope you do so a little bit differently than you did for Jalen Hurts.
Right?
It's like, what does that planning look like? Because it hasn't really been there all season.
I don't know. Fields plays on Sunday. Packers. If you can't tackle a guy that's running with only one wing, you're in trouble. Pete says, I just woke up. Is Joe Barry still here? Pete out of the 414. Yes. Yep. Joe Barry's still around.
Now, this might be a little significant. Apparently, Luke Fickell and Jim Leonard are speaking today about future plans. There is obviously a scenario where he's not back. I wonder if Matt LaFleur dips his toe back into those waters for next season.
You would have to think. I mean, all the qualities that Jim Leonard had 2 years ago certainly haven't gone away.
I don't want him to take it because he'll become the scapegoat and then get fired. Because I don't think the players are that good, frankly. I think we've overrated at least some of them. So just because of my admiration for Leonard, I don't want him in that situation.
Yeah. By the way, my buddy Dwayne said in planning for Justin Fields, they will allow the linebackers to play without mittens and blindfolds this week, correct? I would assume so. Some of those clam outdoor mittens, those don't come in handy when you're trying to grip a jersey and bring a guy down. Just throwing it out there. You might want to take them off. Just a little observation from me to you. Let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a break. Come back. Got a lot more. Phone lines open. 877-867-1670. More after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Today's the day. The day when everything changes and you're back in the game. At Potawatomi Hotel and Casino, where your win is waiting. Alongside great dining, world-class entertainment, and a luxurious hotel. All in the heart of downtown Milwaukee. Here, we play. Play to win. Visit paysbig.com for more. Must be 21 to enter casino.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
I got to give a big kudos to our friends out there at J&L Tire Service. I went and picked my car up today, and all the little stuff that needed to be done, man, they fixed it. They fixed it great. The undercarriage panel that had come off of my vehicle, which protects kind of the bottom side of the engine. When I bought the car, it was kind of loose anyway, but the thing had broken free, and I thought, oh, God, I'm going to have to get a new one, and a part like that is ridiculous. Anyway, long story short, I took it out there. I needed an oil change. I needed a couple other things. They fixed it up. Fantastic. Picked it up this morning when I was out in the Johnson Creek area, right off of 94, just north of 94. Chad and Lyle and the whole staff out there, they do such a great job, whether it's just cars like mine or full semi-tractor trailers. They have the facility out there right off of 94. So if you're needing tires, brakes, trailer repair, trailer work, whatever it happens to be, the airlines, they can do it all, and they do it all at an incredibly reasonable price. And man, they guarantee their work, and they're just good people. So I've been telling you about them for a long time. J&L Tire Service, right out there in Johnson Creek, right off of 94, just north of 94, also in Watertown. But that's jandltire.com, jandltire.com. Ben, I'm going to get back to the phone calls here in a minute. What is the Walker Cup? Do you know what that is? Because there's a big picture taken from our head of HR out there in Madison with the whole team. I don't see your face in this picture, but everybody is gathered. And they say that the Midwest family gathered to celebrate the 2022 Walker Cup win. What the hell is a Walker Cup? I don't even know what this is.
That's because I'm working, Bill.
How did I miss this?
It's a junior golf event.
No, it's not.
Where
Is it
where
really?
the U.S. plays, Great Britain, Ireland, other countries along those lines. It's the U.S. versus Great Britain and
Oh,
Ireland.
my
It's not
God.
multiple countries.
Okay.
Yes, and I was, here doing the show.
Okay.
What, did you think it was something significant, and then
I
you're
have
disappointed to hear me talk about golf?
I don't know what it is.
I need to get you up on more golf.
Is it like something within the because there's Zach Heilprin. He's up front. I see him.
Oh, he's at work today? No way.
I don't know. Maybe this picture was taken yesterday or early this morning because there's no. I don't see Rowdy. I don't see Ebo. But
Send that to me.
Uh,
Or maybe they had already left.
Okay.
That's
I'll hit you up.
interesting.
Yeah,
I would have loved to know the Walker Cup was being celebrated here today.
I have no idea, but it says on the Walker Cup win. There you go. Didn't know. Had no idea. Just saying.
Yeah, and some controversy surrounding the Walker Cup, like a guy like Stuart Hagestad, who's like 40 something and still an amateur.
There you go. I
Gets the US
tagged
Open.
you in the picture. So I just
thanks.
I just figured maybe they were, kind of having some kind of celebration and you and I weren't invited. Maybe like the station won something and, we're just, we're excommunicated.
Oh, this Walker Cup, definitely different than the Walker Cup I'm talking about.
Yeah, I thought so.
This probably has something to do with sales because it says our Walker Cup win.
Okay. I think you and I are part of that. We're part of the product, right? They're selling us. We're like the, we're just pieces of meat. We're on air meat is what we are. We're
maybe you, I'd say.
We're just a commodity, We're just pieces of meat.
They sell you. I push the buttons.
Okay. Well,
Speak
I
occasionally.
think Ben Kenny keeps us going though. You're the one that actually you're part of that production line. They manufacture that sale, but the sale doesn't actually go through until you push that button. Think about that.
I would like to think that's true. This is disappointing, Bill. I wanted to start talking about like John Pack and some of the great amateurs that are on their way to lead U.S. Ryder Cups teams for years to come. But no, it's some sales.
That's not it. So I see Shar, one of our salespeople. She's right. She's always in red. She always looks beautiful. She's always in red. She's right there front and center. Everybody else is kind of in black. Did you notice that?
I think this was yesterday.
Was it yesterday? Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody's in black. It's like the color du jour for the month of December. Oh, there you go. So I just didn't know what it was. I'm sorry. I had to pause the show for a minute to, kind of satisfy my curiosity, but there you go.
Yeah. I'll get someone on the show to talk about the Stuart Hagestad debacle.
Okay. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. Make sure you pick a day that I'm really here. Wink, wink. There you go. Let's do this. Let's get back to the phone calls. Talk to Mike listening to us in Cudahy. Mike, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, Bill. I just want to give you my personal opinion. I've been listening to your program here off and on here today. As far as the Packers season goes, even if they did win out, they're pretty much one and done. I mean, they don't have the horses to finish the race. The last 3 seasons, they were 13 wins in the perfect storm. Nothing happened, didn't take advantage of it. Unless people are drinking a lot of that green and gold Kool-Aid and they're kind of disillusioning themselves, I would like to see Love play the rest of the season. Shut down Rodgers. He's not 100%. He's not going to do the team any good. The reason why he wants to play, Bill, he says he owns the Bears. Well, I don't know if his body, let's put it this way, I don't think his ego can write the checks, and I don't think his body can cash them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I think if you're not 100% doing the team any good, it's all ego on that part of it. He can be competitive, but how can you be competitive when you're not 100%? And as far as tanking the season goes, this is my personal opinion. The best thing that can happen, let them play good ball. If they lose out, they get a good draft pick for next season. That's the only bright side I can think of this whole season here. But like I say, they're a one and done team. They're not going to do anything, even if they are mathematically in it, which I think it's done. Let's have the Green Bay Packers show all of Packer Nation why they trade up for Love being number one and show what he can really do now the rest of these games, because he needs the experience. He needs the snaps. I would treat all of these games as preseason games.
Okay. I appreciate the phone call, man. Thanks for listening in Cudahy as well, and on our affiliate the Big 920 out of Milwaukee. It depends on what camp you're in. I think there's a lot of people that were excited by the 2 drives that Jordan Love played in against Philadelphia, and now you want to see more. You want to see more of that. You want to see if he is indeed. You're looking over that fence. You're like, man, that Kansas City game. Oh, that sucked. That was terrible. Prepped all week, the whole thing. And then last year, remember, Rodgers didn't practice until Friday and then the walkthrough on Saturday before the team meetings and such. And so Jordan Love was getting all the reps, all the starters reps. And then in the second half of that Detroit game, it was like, oh, my God, after all this time, and he's still not much. And then he comes into the preseason. You're like, okay, I see a couple of things here that I maybe can latch on to. All right, a couple of decent throws. There's the one to Romeo Doubs that was incomplete, but still a pretty good pass. And okay, all right. And then you see him against Philadelphia. You're like, whoa, we need to see more of this. My whole argument to this is, first of all, I don't have a problem even if they split time. Rodgers first half, Love second. I agree with you. I don't want to see Rodgers get hurt. But when you say, well, he's not 100%, he doesn't give you the best chance to win. Tell me a quarterback right now that is. Everybody at this point in time in the National Football League is banged up, has something aching, ailing, whatever. That's the nature of the beast. Now, if you're in it, if you're, right there and you're playing for something, playing for the top spot in the division, playing for the top spot in the conference, whatever, seeding, then he's a warrior. He's gutting it out and he's giving his all. And, boy, it's a shame he's banged up, but man, this is great. Now it's like, well, he's hurting the team. Shouldn't be playing. If you know you're going to hurt the team, you shouldn't play. I don't know how badly he's hurt. I think the thumb was worse off, obviously, than what we thought it was and what we were being told, again, through the giant red China machine. It's hurt. Is your thumb broke? It's hurt. It's hurt, damn it. I'm not lying to you, just misleading you. Don't ever forget it. So I think it was worse off than what we were being led to believe, and maybe hindsight being what it is, probably shouldn't have played against the Jets. Maybe another game. Maybe would have had a better shot at winning, say, against Detroit. Had you not thrown a few of those red zone touchdown or red zone interceptions when you could have made touchdowns instead, could have had a few TDs instead of some of the other issues you had deep into the red zone, maybe because of a bad thumb. I don't know. But now the only way it goes wrong is if something goes wrong. Otherwise, I still think Jordan Love's going to get his snaps. I think he's going to get his time. Once his team's mathematically eliminated, I think they're going to be open. Rodgers is going to be open to possibly, sitting out a game, resting up, whatever, and letting Jordan Love have it. But to say that you need to know what you have in him, I think is something you and I say, but I still think that they know what they have in him. They either really, really like it, or they're like, nah, okay, not bad. Or they're like, oh, good God. We don't want to show a lot of this guy because he's put a little bit now on film. Little bit of good, right? Little bit to be excited about. Let's just leave it at that. Let's leave it at that. That way other teams will look to us and go, hey, he really improved. Yeah, that's it. He improved. There we go. How we looking? We'll see. I think it kind of works itself out, so to speak. 877-867-1670. Final segment coming back. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michael Show. It's coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michael Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others. Time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or a pirate ship or a sports-themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine. A place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers practicing today, getting ready to face the Chicago Bears Sunday at Soldier Field. Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers says an MRI on his sore ribs was negative and was asked on the McAfee Show why he should play Sunday or in the final 5 games of the regular season with a broken thumb.
You know, we're not eliminated. We got a chance to run the last 5 and see where we stand after that. So that's the focus for me. You know, I might miss practice Wednesday. Will not be a full contributor, but that's kind of been standard for the last, 6-7 weeks. Go to my one of my favorite places to play down in Chicago and hopefully, get a big win, get into the bye week, get healthy, and see where we can get to.
Bears quarterback Justin Fields is recovering from a left shoulder injury. His backup, Trevor Siemian, says he suffered an oblique muscle strain Sunday against the Jets, but played anyway.
Yeah, just throwing, something wasn't right, flared up on me, and then got back in the locker room and figured something wasn't right again, but gave it a go, and yeah, that was that.
You get a shot to calm it down?
No shot. I don't think you shoot your ribs, but No, I didn't get a shot, just the medicine.
And the Packers made a roster change after just 3 weeks. They dropped former Raiders safety Jonathan Abram and promoted safety Ennis Gaines to the active roster. Gaines has a rep of being a hard hitter and explained why he got the nickname Thump from his teammates in high school.
I need a nickname to go by because people had a hard time saying Ennis. People say Ennis or sometimes. So he was like, we need a nickname. So he was like, we should call you Thump Thump. So it started as Thump Thump, and everybody started changing it from Thump Thump to just single Thump. And it's stuck with it ever since.
That's Packers safety Ennis Thump Gaines in Green Bay. I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Good to have you back. Don't forget about our friends right here in our own backyard. Veteran-owned in Racine, Wisconsin. That's Burn Pit Barbecue. Go to burnpitbbq.com, burnpitbbq.com for the barbecue lover in your life. And don't forget, they have gift boxes right now. This time of year, they can get them out within a couple of days and get them to you, and from all over the country, not just here in our own backyard, but obviously, if you got a barbecue lover in your life, oh, yeah. If you're one of those snowbirds living in Arizona, but you're paying attention to the program, go to burnpitbbq.com. That's burnpitbbq.com, or anywhere else for that matter. Good stuff. Our buddy Steve says, hey, I was listening to Matt LaFleur's interview earlier on the program, and he mentioned Luke Getsy. How much do you think it has affected the Packers offense, losing both Luke Getsy and Nathaniel Hackett this year? How big of a role do you think they have played in the downfall of the offense? That's our buddy Steve listening to us in Ridgefield. I think it's pretty significant. Be honest with you, I think it is. I think when you lose both your organizational guy, the guy that sets everything up, the guy that sets up the meeting, sets up the film, that kind of works out in the game plan with you. He's the go-between between yourself and the head coach. The head coach has a lot of duties. It's not like he's inaccessible. It's just he's got a lot of duties. He's got everything from his own show to, injuries to worry about, the defense to worry about, special teams to worry about, all of that. So he doesn't always, even though he's the play caller, he's not always the guy that's sitting in that room with you. He's got other responsibilities, other duties. So Luke Getsy and Nathaniel Hackett, those were the guys. Now Tom Clements is in there, obviously, and that's a confidant of Aaron Rodgers. But certainly, when you lose both of those guys and everybody becomes elevated, suddenly you're working with different guys working on the offensive line and Butkus and company. And, philosophically, things may differ a little bit. Routines differ a little bit. The setup differs a little bit. Certainly, I think that plays a role in it. And if you've got a guy like a Nathaniel Hackett or a Luke Getsy or whomever that really has a knack for breaking things down and making it kind of like offense 101, makes it really simple and easy and understandable versus maybe somebody else's way of thinking or what have you, then certainly it can hamper, it can hamper your offense or hamper, whatever grouping of players you have. So no doubt. 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, do it. Again, 877-867-1670. A couple other things before we get out of here today. By the way, the Vegas came out with the over and under on many different things. A lot of betting this week regarding Deshaun Watson. Passing TDs, passing attempts, completions, interceptions, a lot of that. But speaking of Nathaniel Hackett, they start to talk about the next head coach to be fired. Matt LaFleur is on the list. Believe it or not. Nathaniel Hackett, number 1 at 1-5. Cliff Kingsbury at 5-1. Lovie Smith at 5-1. Dan Campbell at 16-1. I don't think Dan Campbell gets fired. Josh McDaniels at 16-1. They paid him a boatload of money. They already owe a boatload of money to John Gruden. I can't imagine them going in the direction of a third coach in a year and a half. Dennis Allen at 20-1. And Matt LaFleur at 50-1 to get fired. 50-1. There's some Zach Wilson stuff that's out there and all that kind of stuff. But, there's some odds and ends floating around. And one of the ones that caught my eye was the next head coach to be fired. And if you put down a few bucks, 50-1 on Matt LaFleur right now. I don't think Matt LaFleur gets fired, quite honestly. I don't think that happens. But it is at least something that they are considering now. When it comes to the Vegas betting odds. By the way, Kansas City still the top dog when it comes to winning a Super Bowl. Kansas City, Buffalo, Philadelphia at 11-2 now. Ben, Philadelphia at 11-2.
You know, Grant Bill said on the huddle last week, he just wants the Packers to make it a close enough game for Eagles fans to still be mad and sports radio there to still be angsty.
Right.
That duty was very much fulfilled.
So that happened.
There's not much confidence.
You've been listening to the whip, right? And there's fandom screaming in Philadelphia.
Indeed. I guess there always is.
Okay. All right. San Francisco, Dallas, Miami, Baltimore, Minnesota, then Cincinnati, Tampa Bay, Tennessee, the Chargers, the Jets, the Seahawks, and they have now pulled the Commanders off the board, which means everything below the Commanders not even on the board at this point. There you go. That'll do it. Hey, coming up tonight, we're going to be on the road. We're going to be at Kelly's Bleachers on Blue Mountain Road, down near American Family Field, just north. Come on by, 6 to 8 tonight. It's the Bill Michaels Huddle. It's brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network, and the official beer sponsor of the Huddle. Great specials coming up tonight. Good food tonight. Good chatter tonight. We will be back to talk to you about 6 o'clock this evening. Until then,